Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 309, I think.
I thought last week was.
You know, it's either last week or this week. Let's iPad's working phenomenal, like flawlessly as normal here. Thank you. You look that up, please. Can I do that? 309.
Okay.
Now that we have the important stuff out of the way, welcome back. We got some people already tuning in. I see Ray Cheshire and Dimmick. A little late start tonight, but hopefully we don't have any connectivity issues like we did last week. That'd be nice.
I'm just going to be looking in the corner now for...
No, focus on the show, on the audience. That'll be great. We are thanking you guys for being here. Want to thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. That is where we have this beautiful Punch Golden Era, which is a newer cigar. Have you smoked this before?
I smoked one on Sunday.
Okay, so yes.
But it's going to be nice to smoke it where I can just focus on the cigar and not
Right.
have to keep getting up,
Right.
going, putting it down.
Not working and being busy. So Punch Golden Era. Thank you, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Check them out for the Punch Golden Era as well as many other cigars. From other companies such as Altadis USA, we've got a Onyx Vintage Nicaragua for part 2. Looking forward to smoking that. Have you smoked that before?
I have not.
Damn it. So we can't talk too much about that, and we'll do it as a featured cigar coming up here soon.
Oh, okay.
That is made for Altadis USA by AJ Fernandez.
Of course.
With all Nicaraguan tobacco, including a 2019 wrapper. So that's all you're going to get out of us tonight about that one. Monte Cristo behind us, Romeo Julieta, H. Upman, Aging Room. I feel like a weatherman here a little bit, even though it's not a green screen. Anyways, as for the support, and also thank you, Cigar Company. The gold and silver are available now. The gold is made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa Cigars. We also want to thank you guys real quick. Patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. We appreciate that continued support from you guys, as well as anyone that kicked us the one-time contributions. Easy to do on Venmo. It's a commercial account there. So at Bourbon and BS for Venmo. If you want to buy a bottle, contribute just a buck or two or however much you want. It helps us do this and buy bottles like we have tonight on the show, which is nice. We'll get into that momentarily. And also, if you like what you see on the screen, my blue and white BS cigar hoodie and yours, I was getting to you.
Not what I was referencing.
The black camo Bourbon and BS Barrelhead logoed hoodie that Nate has on here. Check out buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS. You're going to see these hoodies as well as some other 3/4 sleeves, some t-shirts, some ladies V-neck shirts, and more on there. So check that out, buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS. Guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to light this cigar up and let Nate kind of jump in here with how he's doing. And we're going to be drinking. This is from High West. This is Cask Strength, a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. This is coming in at 58.7%.
So 117.4.
That's right. You want to talk about this first while I light up?
We can. Yeah.
You tell me, what do you want to do tonight?
What do you want? No, it's fine. Yeah. So High West is out of Park City, Utah.
Sit before I light up here.
They source most of their stuff. They have a bourbon, a rye. They do one called a double rye. There is a rendezvous rye that they come out with. There's one that they do every now and then that some people look for. It's called the Campfire, which it tastes very much like Campfire. It's kind of like a blend of bourbon and a smoky Scotch.
It's like a campfire is what it is. It is like a campfire.
Yeah, it is like Campfire. And then there's an annual release that they do called Midwinter Night's Dram. Which is a different product every single year. It's a different blend. Some years have been hits, some years have not. but it's a once a year release, and it's like $150 bottle. This one that we're drinking tonight, this is a cask strength, and this was actually picked by OHLQ. So State of Ohio Liquor Control picked a select number of barrels that were blended together to make this bottle that we have before us.
And this one, I do have some notes here.
I knew you did.
Thanks to Ann Dimmick, support of the show, several time guest as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an interesting one. This wasn't as big of a big pick, it sounds like, but I mean, it was something that they've got a great connection with, obviously, High West. So this is something that they worked with them on to continue to push out the small batch and single barrel stuff that OHLQ, which is Ohio Liquor, the State Department here, is doing.
Yeah.
Right. So this is one. High West is a pretty recognizable brand name.
Mm-hmm.
It just says blend of straight bourbon whiskeys blended and specially selected from the mountains of Utah is what this says. I'm not going to get into the secondary notes or sensory notes, excuse me. Let's see what this says here. Oh, that's just the same stuff. So anyways, this is something that they worked with. You can let Tony out to say hi as long as that's shut there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and get yourself a glass. Sean Wilkinson in the background, everyone.
He'll be on mic shortly. But yeah, High West is
goodies. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, High West sources their stuff. Most of their stuff's coming out of MGP, but then it's aging in their facility in Utah, and then they blend from there or bottle it from there. So it says right on the back label, bottled by High West in Park City, Utah. So obviously that means it's not distilled in Utah.
Right. So it says, I'll just read the back here. You hold in your hands a true whiskey treat, a dram that is both rare and exceptionally delicious. Each of the cask strength offerings by High West are the result of meticulous sensory evaluation and blending of select lots of straight whiskey. The outcome yields uncompromised balance, complexity, and depth of flavor. And Tony the dog, everyone. Hi, buddy. Whether sipped neat or stirred into a cocktail, this whiskey is a rare experience, sure to delight any whiskey lover. It's a bold statement.
Yeah, it is a bold statement.
Bold statement. It's a bold move, Cotton.
And see how
it pans out.
But yeah, so this actually debuted last year in Ohio. I want to say late summer or early fall is when this came out. There was this one, and then there was the Cask Finish series.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people would see these on the shelf next to each other, and
I did actually.
Yeah, and they couldn't. They're like, wait, what's the difference between the two? It's like, well, one's cask strength, the other one's cask finish.
Yeah,
and I think it was a Cabernet cask that the other one was finished in.
Yes.
So
finished in Cabernet. This is just the blend. It's same color, everything.
Yeah, the labels
they look very close. The Cabernet one is 100 proof.
Yes.
So that is the difference. It actually steered me, which I'm not like they call it, what is a proof whore or something like that? Is that the correct terminology?
Oh, proof whore.
Yeah. What'd you hear?
That's what I got called once.
Right.
So that's someone who
once.
so that
one time. Yeah.
But
my mother called me that once.
That's someone that like they're always chasing high proof stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it was a couple years ago when I was doing a social media event that you couldn't make it to because it was on a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
At a local distillery before some of their barrel picks.
Oh yeah,
went out.
Right.
And after we had tried all of the offerings, they were going around the room saying, all right, who liked number one the most, who liked number two the most, and I raised my hand on the one that I liked the most, and the head of Central Ohio Whiskey Society right next to me just looks at me and goes, proof whore. And I went, no, it's the one that I like the flavor profile of the best. Like
I can vouch for that. You're not a whore when it comes to that. More of a flirt.
I also don't get paid.
You do it. Never mind. We're not going to. I don't want to go. Let's just stop there. Let's. What do we think about this? So I like this overall. I'm still Charlie Creekmore slut. Just keep them rolling. No, don't. Let's move forward here, everyone together.
It's a fucking family show.
Is it?
No, it's not. There's an E next to every episode. I do think this is pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
It's got a decent amount of sweetness, not a whole lot of spice, but it has kind of this little bit lingering heat. But I think this punches below the proof. To me, this doesn't drink like 117.
No, it doesn't. I mean, that's tough. We talk about that a lot. I mean, it's not overly hot. It's warm, right? So it's more of like a warmth. I think there's like a lingering. You said not much spice, but I think the spice is there. It's just not overpowering. I think you said it first, balanced. That's where I think this is hitting, because I do get a little bit of a slight kind of cinnamon, nutmeg kind of finish, like where it's kind of like warm. It's not ever real hot.
Like some baking spice on the back end.
Baking spice, but almost like
it's got a little bit of
cinnamon sticks, like there's not much apple, but I'm talking about the cinnamon aspect
in
of
apple cider.
Yeah, like where you get a little bit
apple cider.
You get that warm kind of cinnamon flavor, but not like overpowering.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not very. I'm confusing myself here. It's not really like apple a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of fruit. I'm trying to place it. There is some sweetness there, but I am getting more of like that kind of warmth there. You get apple, so maybe that's fruit, but I'm getting like the apple cinnamon, like that hot cider with yeah.
I think up front,
like a really spiked apple, maybe
that sweetness that's at the front. I don't think it's not heavy like a brown sugar or molasses. I think it's a little bit lighter, more like a honey or butterscotch type of sweetness.
Yeah, that could be.
But that's me. That's my.
I can see it. Maybe we need to have a chair here for Tony. It's good, though. It's very, very flavorful. Mm-hmm. I think when you said balanced, I know that's something that is overused sometimes.
Buzzword.
But I mean, it is. It's not. It's got a nice flavor.
Yeah. Well, like earlier this week, I got to do a tasting with a brand that's not even registered in Ohio yet, but they're doing a single barrel program. They're also getting ready to offer their 3 core products. And I didn't even know there was a tasting, and my boss completely forgot about it. He just comes in. He just comes into the bar. He just comes into the bar. He goes, "Nate, grab your notebook, not your mouth. Come here." I'm like, "Uh-oh."
He knows you well.
I'm gonna get yelled at. Like, I'm thinking we're having a one-on-one and I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And then we go up to the bar and there's this guy with all these samples. I'm like, oh, he just wants me to taste stuff and not talk. Got it. But we were
interesting.
But we were tasting through some of these products. And at one point, the owner of the company that was there tasting us on this walked away. And my boss is like, "What do you think?" And I was like, This tastes like corn water and oak." And he's like, "Isn't that what people are going for nowadays?" I'm like, no, it is not. Like
corn water and what?
Oak. Like very like French, like brand new French oak.
Wow.
You've had enough wine with Kristen. You know what French oak.
I've had enough. Yeah.
And then just corn water. And I know, and we've talked about it before, like that's why some of the smaller Ohio whiskey companies don't do as well, because their stuff made with Ohio corn it just tastes like corn water, and that's not a flavor profile that people really go for in this market.
Yeah.
And so we tried the core products, and then we tried a couple of the barrel picks, which were single barrels. One was a rye, one was a bourbon. I'm like, yeah, these don't stand out any different than the core products. Like, there's nothing special about this. And I thought we were going to wrap it up there because nothing was really exciting us.
Yeah.
And then my boss is like, "All right, what else you have? Because these are all right." And the guy pulls one out, and we try. And all of a sudden, I look at my boss. I'm like, "Okay, that's That's what we're looking for.
That's it. Huh?
Like that's the kind of bourbon we're looking for. Complexity and caramel and not as oak heavy.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. Not this, not the, and even he tried it then later and he looked at me and goes, holy shit, that is. And then we tried another one. We're like, oh my gosh, this one's amazing. And then we tried a couple duds. I'm like, you sandbagging motherfucker. I actually said that to the owner. I called him a sandbagger.
It's good. Good work relations.
But no, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there are some things that you taste and you're just like, all right, that's good. It's what stands out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's the same thing with cigars and such. I mean, I feel like you're constantly like, we're trying new stuff, and everyone looks at it like, it's like, well, what do you think? And it's after so many, you know, it's good.
Yeah.
Or it's not good. I mean, you can say both, I guess, but there's just too often you're trying something new, and you never go back to, or it takes a while to go back to something that you know you like.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? I need to break it up and go back to bottles, go back to cigars, go back to food, whatever it might be. You want to go back and just do something, like enjoy something you know you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, because you keep trying new stuff, keep trying new restaurants, new whatever it is. It's like, okay, that's fun, but do yourself a favor and get something you know you like.
Yeah.
I think, as we do different bottles and cigars on the show every week. But
I know
you got to break up some of that stuff.
We do different bottles on the podcast every week.
Right.
What we drink at home. I mean, yeah, it's like you drink, like I've gone through so many single barrels and barrel picks and stuff, but sometimes it's fun to go back to like the base offerings from a company.
Yeah.
Like what's their everyday, or what's their bottled and bond like, or, you know, go back to something like if you drink a bunch of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series, go back and try the 86.
Yeah.
Or the 100.
Yeah.
Like, or if you live in a state that you're fortunate enough to be able to get one of the 100 proof ryes out there, it's like, all right, cool. Go for that too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Tony's very, very concerned with everything right now. It's okay, buddy. It's all right. We'll get you a chair here, maybe a little bit. I wanted to go over some of the notes on this that is official from High West here and OHLQ, I think mostly from High West. And I was texting Jake Sanders because of a note here. On the nose.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
First thing.
Is it tangerine?
You were close. No, that's
Clementine.
Not Clementine.
Clementine.
Which that's going way, way back on this show. We're going like 5+ years on this show. A whole Clementines. I'm not going to get into it, but I did text him. He said he's at dinner right now. But on the nose, Clementines Red Delicious Apple Skins.
Okay.
This is very specific here. Pound cake with maple icing, black walnuts, cafe latte, and lemon thyme. That's on the nose. That's a lot.
Okay, I get the apple. I get the red apple skin. I really do.
Sure.
I do get that.
Do you get the pound cake with maple icing that you dipped in your cafe latte that has black walnuts floating in it?
I don't know what a cafe latte tastes like. I drink.
To nose. What does it smell like?
I drink black coffee.
What does it smell like? The taste. No, I mean
there is a little bit. I'll say there is a little bit of that maple on the nose, but
once you read it and you start smelling it, I mean, you do start.
Well, you start looking for
picking it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taste. Candied lemon, apple fritters, caramel corn, almond nougat, black strap molasses, and weathered hickory wood. Not just hickory wood, weathered. So like on a harbor, you know, the sea's angry.
No, it'd be like weathered hickory. That'd be like an axe handle.
Yeah, I mean,
Hickories are good for that.
You can have an axe.
No, you left it stuck in the stump.
Right. I'm still picturing a harbor. Finish. Peach nectar, strawberry jam, sweet cherry tobacco. So there's the overall fruit stuff, you know. And Sean, you nailed it right off. I was like saying, no, not really apple, but it's more of fruit of some sort. And yeah, I think you got it. Yeah, it does. I mean, and I'm surprised they don't really talk anything about any cinnamon, any spice at all on there. I mean, it's all everything but that, which I'm surprised about, because I am still getting it's more in the background, but it's not like that cinnamon bomb or anything like that, a spice bomb, but it's there. I still think it's there, but I don't know. That's what they say. Who knows? We don't know anything.
Well, I think I had a picture of OHLQ's website.
So this is from
This
was screenshots from a source.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, I'm assuming they took it from there. Yeah.
Wow. That's that's a lot.
It's a lot. All right. I am enjoying it, though. I will say that. We'll get to the ratings here in a little bit, but I am enjoying it for sure. We're going to get to the featured cigar. This is the Punch Golden Era. Interesting. So Punch, we're talking about the Onyx, right, that we're going to be smoking in the second part from Altadis. We're going to be featuring that coming up in in the next month. Let's shoot for a month here. Which, by the way, we will not be doing a podcast the last week of April. I will be taking my talents to another country for the week.
When are you out?
Last week of April.
I'm okay.
Why?
Well, I'm out Friday through Monday.
Perfect. We got it covered. We'll get it covered.
Yeah.
Got to get your Sunday covered.
My first vacation in 2.5 years.
Love it. So yeah, we'll take it.
We started playing this like a year ago.
Yeah. So this one is different. The Punch Golden Era. I don't know exactly. I wish we have Jonathan Herring listening. I know he says we're on his big screen tonight. So love this cigar. James Young. There's a meme this reminds me of. I'm getting notes of blah, blah, blah. Jonathan, give us a reason on why it's called the Golden Era while we get into this, if you don't mind, or if you have that information. But this one is going to be with the AJ Fernandez stuff so AJ's doing that for Altadis, obviously for General and Forged and all this stuff. This is one that surprised me. Do you know who this is a collab with?
This cigar?
Yeah. Who makes this cigar for Punch and for Forged?
So
General.
So I'm going to think someone a little bit off the beaten path. Aganorsa.
No. I think, talking with a mouthful here, I think you're going to be surprised the makeup of this cigar. Since you said Aganorsa, I know I was surprised.
Tell me.
This is a Honduran Puro.
So is it Christian Aroa?
Close.
Or Rocky Patel?
Further away, colder.
Wow. Stick
with your first. Think about it. Use the force a little bit here.
Well, that'd be Tom Lazuka.
No. You're colder.
I was close with Christian. So was it the other part of when they used to own Camacho? Or is it actually Camacho / Davidoff?
You got the Iroa part right.
His brother?
JRE Tobacco, which is Julio and Justo. So father and brother. Who's making this? You were close.
Wow.
You were getting there. So this is made at the Fabrica de Puros Aladino. And this is in the Yamastran region here. So this is so with you saying Aganorsa leaf, you're kind of dancing around it, Nate. Thinking, right? Maybe the Corojo leaf.
Okay.
So this is a Honduran Corojo wrapper and binder. And Corojo, if you remember, the Aroa family is very, very close to on the Honduran side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Honduran Corojo. And so it's also got Honduran filler, but the Corojo is for the filler and binder. Hey, Sean, would you make sure he doesn't eat whatever that is there? He's right in front of you. You can't blame your peripheral on that one. It's right under your nose, man. We're dog sitting Tony tonight. I'm sorry. I can put him away if you don't like dogs.
So,
Sean, do you not like dogs? You're on the air.
So it's all Honduran.
Horrible person.
So it's all Honduran.
All Honduran.
With Corojo as the wrapper and binder.
Yes. Ray Cheshire, you're out there. We see you. I see you on there. I don't know if you've commented. Sorry. We do see you. I'm going to put you up on the screen. Sorry. I want to make sure that everyone knows that they are getting. Oops. There you go. Poor spelling, but hey, we see him.
Sometimes you just have to swipe on it to see the comments.
Yeah. And Jonathan Herring says Justin Andrews also worked on this blend with the Aroa family. So yes, all Honduran. Okay. Sorry to.
And Justin is Diesel.
So Justin Andrews was Diesel and now is promoted. So he's working on all the brands that I know of now. So he's been promoted, not beyond Diesel, if you will, but like he's working on more brands than just Diesel. I forget what his actual title is. I think Jonathan probably will throw it on the comments there. But yeah, so he's working on a lot of the different blends and brands. But it's I like the Aroa stuff. I've had some of the JRE cigars as samples. I enjoy them. So at Tinder Box at Easton, we don't get asked for JRE a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of traction there yet, at least in from my viewpoint from where I'm at. But yeah, it definitely is. So yeah, he's head of contract manufacturing, basically anything we do with others. So there you go. That's why. So yeah, obviously Justin Andrews has an established relationship with AJ Fernandez. We've talked about that before with the Diesel stuff, but obviously he's working with other manufacturers such as JRE. And I don't know if this is the first time that they've actually had a connection with the JRE or, Justo and Julio here, but this is, what do you think? I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you first. What do you think of this?
So, like I said, I smoked one of these on Sunday, and it's kind of the same. I think this. Well, first, can you tell me the price point of this?
Call it 10.
Okay,
give or take $10.
I think this fits in line with Punch, because Punch is more so than many other brands on the market that at least ones that we carry. It's very much a blue collar brand. We talk about the average price point on a cigar nowadays tends to be around that $12, $13 price point. And a lot of the Punch stuff comes in below that price point.
Yeah.
Some of their stuff is in that $7, $8, $9 range. So I think this kind of fits in with that. I'd say it's medium body. Very one-dimensional. There's not a lot of complexity to it. It's a cigar. You smoke it and you're like, all right. Especially knowing the blend, knowing it's all Honduran.
Right.
Like if you smoked a lot of like Dominican puros, Nicaraguan puros, Honduran puros, like that kind of that makes sense as you smoke the cigar, because I tend to get a lot of dryness and a lot of woodiness from Honduran cigars, or even cigars that have a Honduran wrapper primarily on them. So this kind of fits in line with what I would expect from a Honduran puro, and coming in at that Punch price point of being a couple bucks below what your average price point is nowadays. It's not necessarily the smoothest cigar, but it's not a rough smoke either. I mean, as Jonathan
what do you
said,
think not smoothest?
I mean, like there's almost like when it hits your palate and the back of your mouth, like there's almost a scratchiness to it. And so that, to Jonathan Herring's comment where he's like a throwback to the golden era of cigars, like this reminds me of like what I would expect from a quote unquote old school type cigar. Like it's nothing fancy. It's kind of one dimensional. It's right down the middle of the road. Like this is, your fastball down the middle of the plate. Like,
okay.
It's just there. There's no breakage. There's no curve. It's just right down the middle. There you go.
I can see that. Yeah, medium body. Sean is smoking it as well here and wanted to chime in.
I had a question about, how like, we get flavors from the bourbon with, the smell and the taste. Do you guys ever do that with cigars where you smell, like I happened to smell this one before I lit it, and it has a really good smell to it.
Yeah.
And do you guys ever do that and like kind of get different flavors than you were when you?
There are times I know I've seen Steve do it. I've done it where you sit there and before you even light it, you take the foot. You take the foot of the cigar and hold it up to your nose and smell that filler tobacco.
Yeah, okay.
And then there are also times where I've gone and I've went ahead and cut the cigar and then did a cold draw where I actually
cold draw,
where I would actually draw through the cigar and hold it in my mouth as though the cigar was burning, and then blow that out, or even then retrohale that air.
Oh shit.
To where then I'm just tasting that tobacco, like just the flavor of. And there are cigars that I've had where, and there was one recently that we had on the podcast where we just smelling the foot of the cigar, I was like, oh my gosh, that smells amazing. Like this tobacco absolutely smells amazing. I hope I love this cigar.
That's cool.
And there have been cigars,
you don't remember what that was?
It was fairly recent.
Okay.
I bet if I look back
at
some of the recent episodes, we'd figure it out, because I think we even talked about it when we were talking about the cigar.
That's cool.
Just the smell of the tobacco. And then I've had ones where I've gone to do that cold draw, and just the taste of the straight tobacco on my lips, like I could lick my lips and taste that oil from the wrapper and be like, holy shit, this cigar tastes amazing already.
That's cool.
And then now the problem with that sometimes is you have that experience before you even set a lighter to the cigar. And now you're sitting there going, okay, I hope when I actually fire this cigar up, like I haven't set the bar too high.
Yeah, you don't want to be set up for disappointment.
The cigar smokes as good as it tastes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what about you? I mean, because you asked about that.
And I've done it, but I've never really kind of did the footer or and inhaled it without it being lit. But I like that idea because, I just being more into it now. It's like sometimes I smell it and then like I'm like, God, it smells amazing. And then there's times where I want to kind of make a conscious effort to keep doing that because I really want to get a different side of, I've always appreciated it, and I just, it's cool.
Well, I remember years ago, probably going back 10 years at my old shop, there was a cigar that we had on the shelf. And it was actually, I think it actually was a punch. Or no, it was Spartacus. Wrong P.
Close.
But
also SDG.
Yes. But the flavor on the tobacco was so amazing. It was absolutely terrific cigar. And then shortly thereafter, I found out that they stopped making that cigar.
Oh.
And I still have one in my humidor.
Really?
Because I bought like 5 of them and I smoked the other 4.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those that I remember when I did the dry draw and lit it up, that initial flavor, when I lit it up, I sat there and I went, this is what a cigar should taste like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what,
it's like a coffee thing, or the coffee smells dry.
This is what high quality tobacco should taste like.
Let's see if we can get
And-
a little guy in here.
And I've kind of been holding on to that cigar ever since because I want to enjoy it, but I know once I do, that's the last of it. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was a cigar that I had bought a box of because at the time it was my favorite cigar, and they had stopped making that cigar like 4 years earlier.
There he is.
But then slowly throughout time, like I smoked those cigars. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're supposed to smoke the cigars and enjoy it.
Right.
You're not supposed to sit there and have it in your humidor for 30 years until the day you die.
Right.
Like, you're supposed to smoke them. And so that's what I did. Now, that's why when people ask me what my favorite cigar is, I pick something that's actually made in production now, not something that they stopped making 15, 20 years ago.
Sure. So
and we have to take a drink according to the drinking game because Tony made an appearance.
Is that on there?
Is it still on there? I thought it was, unless I replaced it because you kept putting Tony inside.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Tony.
No, but it's still good tradition.
It's good. Yeah, you gotta.
The original list that Jonathan Herring came up with for the Bourbon and BS podcast drinking game did include Tony makes an appearance. Jonathan Herring said he really likes the Aladino portfolio, which is something that JRE does.
Guys, look at the camera quick. Oh, that's a good one. All right.
Keeper.
I've had a couple of the Aladinos. I haven't not really been impressed.
This is great.
Yes,
I was thinking, I was talking to one of the reps from Punch or the
Ryan.
right, yeah. And
Ryan
I asked you about that the other day at the shop about there's a cigar that I used to love, the Punch. They still make it, it's a lot older. It's called Punch Royal Carnation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a silver tube with purple lettering on it. And you can buy boxes of 30 of them. Some places still sell them, but the smell of those tubes with the cedar wrapping too. And oh dude.
Yeah.
Oof. But it does remind me like when you smell coffee before you drink it, it smells so, like amazing. It's kind of the same thing with the cigar, you know, it's got two different flavors to it. So, anyway.
What I used to do, and every now and then I'll still do, when I get my coffee subscription, the club blends or the club roasts that they do get bean, the regular monthly stuff gets shipped ground. But when they ship the whole bean stuff, I'll actually like chew one of the beans just to get the flavor of the bean itself before I actually make coffee. And then I have the coffee, French press.
Big French press guy.
I am. It's the only thing the French done right.
Democracy.
I stand by my statement.
You don't like democracy?
We're not a democracy.
All right. All right. I like this cigar. It is so medium, yes, lighter flavors. I'm not a huge fan. Not opposed to it, but not a huge fan of the finish. There is a little bit
dry.
A little bit of dryness. I think more. Jonathan Herring says French fries.
I don't eat a whole lot of French fries anymore.
Jesus. Are you American?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still eat potatoes.
Okay. So you just don't like French. You dislike the language, the people. What are we looking at here?
Let's not get into World War II history.
Okay. Well, this is well constructed. This is it's there's a note to it that's in the retrohale and kind of in the back of my palate, and I'm trying to place it, but it's not my favorite. Is anyone else getting whatever that is?
Well, Charlie, I think, said dusty finish.
I was actually going to say I didn't see
cardboard.
I was going to say a little bit of like
cardboard.
Slight like mustiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but it's kind of in that. Now I do get that. I feel like sometimes from Honduran blends, but that's just me. I don't know. Do you not get that?
Talking about it, like Charlie said, dustiness, and then I retrohaled it, and I'm like, that tastes like what fresh cardboard smells like.
Which is funny because like I actually get that more from not the Honduran tobacco as much as some like Dominican blends. Like Avo, what was it? The Heritage, not the Heritage, the Domain.
I used to love that cigar.
Cardboard, man.
I used to love it, and then something changed with it. But that
musty cardboard, maybe.
The first time I smoked that cigar, I was driving back to college from a cigar event here in town and freaking loved the flavor profile on that cigar. And then I had one 10 years later, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
You probably smoked different stuff in the meantime and found your palate enjoys other things.
That's probably true.
Sean, if you have Ray on Facebook Messenger, he can't see the comments. He's got a Samsung. I don't know if you. He's trying to get. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. He can't see it. He sent me a picture. I can't see it. I can't. He can't see the comments. So,
Did he send me a message?
no, he sent me a message. I just didn't know if you have him on there. Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I do.
Jonathan says I use a cardboard thing all the time. I get it in Cuban cigars often, and I like it. So, again, I mean, it's not some good cardboard, I guess. I don't know. As opposed to that nasty. It's like dish barrel. You know what I mean? The two double strength
Dish barrel. Is that what you said?
Yeah, like dish pack boxes. I'm from the moving industry, man. Like,
oh, okay.
It's like real good cardboard.
Oh,
strong.
Okay. Cardboard with integrity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cigar is good. I'm not. I do like some of the JRE stuff. I do like this cigar. It's just not like a go-to, but it's a pleasant cigar. I think mine's well constructed. I don't know if you spoke to the construction of your cigar, Nate.
You mentioned it, and yeah, I mean the construction's been spot on.
Yeah,
I mean
nothing wrong with it.
No burn issues, no draw issues. I mean, granted, again, handmade. It's gonna happen. Like last week, I had one that was constructed and it burned, drew absolutely perfectly. Steve had one with a tunnel. Yeah. Finally, it went that way. It's usually the other way around. So.
Yeah. So we are still sipping on the High West. This is the Cask strength. This is going to be a specific small batch. This is not a single barrel, but this is a small batch. Not sure on the size of the batch for them, but it's considered a small batch. And this is an OHLQ pick. That's Ohio liquor. That is what we deal with. Not in a bad way. That's what we have. Let me say that. We are fortunate to have in some ways, and it's getting better. It's getting better and better as the time goes on. But this is something the way that it's a pick for the state of Ohio. And this is, to my understanding, it's still a collaboration with the state, but this was not a formal, like what I've been on once, you've been on twice, where they really dive in and pick.
Where we're doing single barrel picks.
This was a product that they had, that they have a small batch they wanted to make exclusive for Ohio, and the OHLQ decided to bring it on as an OHLQ. Again, continuing to push this specific to the state, some of the benefits of being in Ohio and making some specific bottles for us in the state of Ohio that you can't get anywhere else, whether they be, barrel picks, or as this one even says, it's different. It just says for
OHLQ.
For OHLQ.
Yeah.
So this is almost like
that band looks like, well, and I've seen other ones where they've had that band, but obviously it says something different than OHLQ.
Different organization or whatever.
So they do this type of thing for other organizations, for liquor agencies that are, say, non-control states, that liquor agencies can do a pick. But yeah, this one and the Cabernet finish were both done for OHLQ, and they were both $69.99, I believe. Of course, that's, like I said, this came out last year, and so when you showed up with this, I'm like, I got this at the store today. It was on the shelf. I was surprised this was still available in Ohio.
Full shelf of this, full shelf of the Cabernet right next to it. So I was looking at, actually, I forgot that we had done it. There was an I.W. Harper Cabernet finish.
Oh,
we had done it before, not too long. It was a two something.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one at all.
I'm glad I looked it up. It's like, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to carry that at Carafagna's, and then we sold out of it, and we never got it back in.
Well, point being is that we saw this, and I'm always tempted to try something finished in Cabernet barrels because I do like it. It's a little more, typically for me, it's more of like a cocktail flavor, right? Okay. Like it brings something to it. But I'm like, no, let's go straight up the blend of the straight whiskeys.
Do you like Burning Chair?
No, that's one I didn't like, though. I didn't care for that.
And that's the guy behind Orin Swift Cellar. So like 8 Years of the Desert.
I know.
Yep.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
No comment. I think he's getting a little big ego there. So there's a comment, no comment, but no comment, but yes, like in the other guys. That's a beautiful pick.
There's another bottle that we have that's done by him. That's a higher end bottle.
Wine?
It's whiskey.
Whiskey.
It's a 15-year whiskey finished in a very particular Pinot Noir barrel. That it's a really long name. Not going to bore you with it. But the wine is like $85 to $100 a bottle.
So what's the whiskey?
It's called Guero 15. There's a Guero with a red band and then one with a blue band. The red band is finished in that Pinot Noir barrel. It's 15 years old. It's 117 proof, and it's like $160. And I have a customer that's come in a few times, and I've worked with him directly, and he likes some higher end stuff. And I think it was the second time I worked with him. He had liked some of my previous recommendations. I put a few more out on the table. One of them was that, and he ended up going with that one and another high-end bottle, and then came back later to tell me he loved it. So it's like, so I mean, that's what I think you get the risk of anytime you do whiskeys finished in wine barrels. Like, it's one thing to do it in like tawny port, ruby port, cognac, Armagnac casks. Those are really, really intense, heavy flavors. Doing it in like Cabernet, Pinot Noir, Zinfandel barrels, like those are a little bit lighter. I mean, you had one recently, it was finished in a Grenache barrel. What the fuck were we doing?
But I like the subtleness of it. I don't think it needs to be in your face as much. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, you just named off the barrels or the wines, like red wines that I really like, honestly.
Yeah, I like them too.
So, I mean, I don't need to just go crazy with it. But I mean, it's cool that they're trying different stuff, but let's focus on this one here. I'm glad I picked this one up. I'm enjoying this bottle. And I think with that, unless we have more to talk about with either the Punch Golden Era or this High West bottle for OHLQ, let's get into the end of this, the round one here. Rating time. Ray Chester says, what's wrong with Grenache?
I didn't say there was anything wrong with Grenache. It's just
maybe he's seeing the comments now. Finally,
maybe. I think Cabernet and port barrel finishes are really popular because those are a little bit more intense flavor. So when you finish a whiskey in that kind of barrel, you only need to do it for a couple of months, and you pick up a decent amount of that flavor profile. When you do something a little bit lighter, like a Grenache or a Pinot Noir, like a really good Pinot Noir, not Meiomi.
There's nothing wrong with Meiomi. Jesus. Fucking wine snob now too. Jesus Christ. Fuck.
If you like grape juice with vodka in it.
Is that how they make it? Jesus. I happen to think that's a fine bottle. I like the French. Go on, let's talk about it.
I think when you have I think when you finish a whiskey in some of those lighter bodied wines, it either has to be in there a little bit longer, or you don't get as much of the essence of that wine in it. And if you're not going to get a whole lot of that, it's like, well, what's the point? Is it just for marketing purposes, or are you actually trying to pull out more of that flavor?
So I think that, I mean, you can, real quick, I think you can go whichever way you want with it. I mean, sometimes I think it's too much. You know what I mean? Like you go the almost, now you're flirting with the line of when you do things like Basil Hayden's the dark rye or whatever, the dark where they actually do have some Pinot
or
port.
Yeah, it's port with rye whiskey.
Our local one was don't punch Nate on here. I didn't punch Nate. That was him texting me, Jonathan Herring.
Oh,
hashtag Team Nate all over again. Cool. Good to have you on, Jonathan. Locally, the Midnight Cask with High Bank Whiskey War, that they actually do with, is it port or is that's
it's port.
Is it? So
yep.
I guess my point is sometimes you have the finishing, then you have now the more blending of it going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you do something where I don't want it to be overly flavorful from whatever you're finishing. I want it to be finished in, and I don't want to necessarily, nothing wrong with the two that I mentioned that are actually blended with port, but I don't necessarily want it to be overtaking my whiskey. So I like sometimes having just the subtlety of it. On the cigar side, I do like it when they age some of the tobacco in bourbon barrels, or like that late hour from Davidoff, the Scotch barrels. I don't want it to taste like Scotch. I don't want it to taste like bourbon. I like the essence that you're kind of, well, that's a little different. You know, that's a little bit something there. But I do think that when we were talking about this High West one here, is that the Cabernet finish, I'm curious. Obviously, I think there's a different blend. I don't think it's the same product going into, you know, the Cabernet barrels to finish in it. But I don't know if I brought that bottle and we had them both here, what are you looking for? Did you want more like wine flavor coming from that as a consumer, or do you want it to be more subtle?
But between the two, I'd prefer the cask strength over the one finished in the wine barrel.
But what I'm saying, like with a Cabernet finished, when you crack that open, what are you hoping for there? Well, my question, based on what you were saying, right? I mean, it's like there's no right answer, I think, for anyone. It's like, what do you want out of it?
Like I've had some where they've been finished in different kinds of wine barrels. Like ones that have been finished in tawny or ruby port barrels. Kind of like those a little bit more because I think they also change the mouthfeel a little bit more of the whiskey. I've had several where it's been other styles of wine barrel finishes.
Yeah.
And they end up coming across, I end up getting more oak than I do the wine flavor.
Okay.
And I don't like, I don't want to drink a bottle of whiskey and it tastes like I'm chewing on toothpicks. And I've had, that.
Okay.
But I've had that with some whiskeys, both ryes and bourbons that have been finished in different style of wine barrels where it just added too much oaky flavor.
I gotcha.
To the whiskey.
See, I've had that oakiness, the very long aged stuff. I get more of that.
Yeah, exactly.
No finishing, just older products.
We had a flight at the bar a couple months back where it was a 10, 12, 15, and 20 year.
Yeah.
And like everyone goes into that thinking the 20 year, that's going to be the best one. And when you sit there and you actually start asking people afterwards, like most of the people, you ask them which their least favorite was, it was the 20 year because it just tasted on there. Because it tasted like they were gnawing on a 2x4. Because it was also lower proof. You had two of them at 90.
Bourbon soaked wood. You're talking about those toothpicks sound delicious. First of all, I don't know what toothpicks maybe you're drinking too much before you're cleaning out your teeth. I don't know what it is, but when you say you're tasting toothpicks or a 2x4, I mean, that's some good wood there.
No, it's just like I've had.
It's not like pine.
I've had.
John wants to get on the wood conversation here, I think.
No, I've had some bourbons that were aged more, not finished in anything, but just single cask that were over 10 years. And then I drink their counterparts that are 6 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I like the lower age ones more because you get more flavor out of the actual mash bill and the juice. Whereas when you start getting more than 10 years, especially on bourbons, it's a very different ballgame with scotches.
There's a lot of wood comments coming in, by the way.
But when it comes to the bourbons, it just ends up tasting too woody on the palate.
I get what you're saying.
Especially if they do it at a lower proof.
Yeah. No, I get it. Sean, comments on the wood, or do you have something else?
Yes. Just that you brought up toothpicks. Sorry, side note. I used to make cinnamon toothpicks and sell them in high school, and they were the most delicious.
Cinnamon toothpicks. You sold them in high school?
Yeah, you roll them in cinnamon oil.
Nope, they can't hear you when you have the mic up by your
ear. I roll them in cinnamon oil, and then I'd make like, I don't know, $50 a day or something until the teacher caught me and they got me in trouble. I sold them for a ridiculous amount of money.
No drugs were involved.
No.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I didn't have a cinnamon. I didn't have any toothpick dealer at my high school.
Cinnamon oil or snake oil?
They like them.
Did you advertise that you're going to feel real good if you use these toothpicks? And they'll never.
Wow.
They'll never know. It'll smell like you've been chewing Big Red. It's fine. Chew all the toothpicks you want. Writing class. They'll never know. Back to what we have up there, the ratings 10 minutes ago. The whiskey is a High West. This is going to be a cask strength small batch that is done for OHLQ, state of Ohio. This is batch number 23B16. So it is 58.7% alcohol. And we're also smoking the Punch Golden Era. Nate, go ahead. Unless, Sean, do you want to chime in there on the pairing? Stop trying to peddle your toothpicks for a second.
Hey, man. Come over here.
Sean'sToothpicks.com.
Easy now.
All right.
All right. So
Feds on you.
Yeah. So the
High West.
The High West. I like this. Got some good flavor to it. I'll probably give it an 8. I definitely get it. Do they sell it around here? Is it easy to get? Or?
So it's limited, but the Kroger right by us, here, right up the road, they had another 5-6 bottles, I think. I don't know how many. It was on the shelf. It's on end cap.
Okay.
Towards the back.
Okay.
And they had this and the Cabernet one, but it comes in at $69.99.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it a lot, and I've always been interested in it. So yeah, I may have to grab one of those. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Cigar. Yeah, I don't mind the retro. Is this kind of like a medium, or is it more of a medium full? I feel like it's medium full. Yeah. It's a little medium
full.
Yeah, but it's just peppery. It could be that.
Okay.
But good construction. Very impressed with that, and I'd probably give that a 8 as well. Yeah, definitely. I don't think are these newer.
Yeah. This is August, late last year.
What's the retail go for?
Right, average $10.
No shit.
Yeah, about $10.
That's pretty.
This is the Robusto size, I think. Right, so I think you're coming in 10, 11.
I mean, for the construction and I like
maybe slightly under average price.
Wow, I like the label on it. And
wait,
he's smoking the wrong one.
That's because I told you that. I didn't realize that. Yeah,
you told me.
Oh well.
He's smoking the other cigar.
No, that's my fault. I told you that.
Yeah, so I'm like, you kept saying Punch. I'm like, that's weird.
What are these guys talking about?
Anyway, I'll tell you at the end of the second half about my rating of this
vintage Nicaragua. I didn't notice that until I noticed it right before you said it. I looked over there and he's like looking at it. I'm like, wait a second.
Anyway,
so an 8
sneak preview for Onyx. I'll tell you after part 2.
We'll have to have you on as the guest here the next month, and we'll feature the Onyx.
Okay. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Yeah, a bunch of professionals here. We need a full-time producer that we can't afford or pay. Ray says professional outfit. Yep, spot on. Keep you guys on your toes, Nate.
So I'm smoking.
Jonathan, everyone's loving that. Jonathan's like, that was impressive. An incorrect cigar review. Aaron Garner, classic.
So
you guys love it.
I'm smoking the correct cigar.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So the Punch Golden Era,
the featured cigar tonight,
not the Onyx.
Sorry about
vintage.
that, Sean. You've got one of those to smoke in part 2, though. Okay, well, we'll check back with Sean.
In another hour and a half or 2.
Jeez.
So
what are we doing?
Whiskey.
We're all drinking the same whiskey, so we have that part.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm gonna give this bottle a 7. I like it more than the everyday on the shelf High West products.
I give it a 7.
I gave it a 7.
Okay.
I think Midwinter Night's Dram can be better. There have been some years where that's been,
and that's an annual release, right?
Yep, that's a one-time release.
Yeah.
But no, I do like this. I think it does drink under its proof. It doesn't necessarily drink like a 117. I think on OHLQ's website they have it listed at 118.
This one,
yeah, because they didn't do the decimal. I think it drinks a little bit lower than that. I think when we were talking about, we didn't get anywhere near the complexity of flavors that they list for this bottle. Like
that's High West thing is the sensory notes, right? I think that's kind of their thing.
Yeah, it's a good bottle. It's solid. I don't get as much complexity out of this one. I think what is there between the sweetness and some of the sweetness up front, the baking spices on the back. Finish, I would say medium length on the finish. That alcohol does kind of linger just a little bit, but I think it's a solid bottle. For a cash strength, when you look at where the rest of their portfolio comes in, I think the price point is fine for this bottle. It's not necessarily a bottle that wows me, but it's solid.
Okay. Ann had a question. What's the highest and lowest we've had on the podcast? And 10's the highest.
10's the
very
highest.
Rare, but it has happened.
There have been a handful of 10s on a whiskey bottle.
Lowest on record that someone on the show. No, on the show. You gave that off the show.
I was
balloons for the 2.
Well, but it was into the mic.
But
I was in the background.
I think you were just upset that day.
No, it was not a good.
It wasn't good, but I think on the table, lowest is probably like a 5. I mean, it's nothing lower than that.
Yeah,
5.5 maybe.
Because there was nothing that we really drank and were like ugh and spit out. No. But yeah, there was a bottle though that I was in the garage like Sean is in the background, and I gave a 2.
It's a fine bottle from Pennsylvania.
What
about the pairing?
The pairing,
Punch Golden Era.
I'm going to do a 6 on the pairing. Jeez. Because I think the bottle's fine, the cigar's fine. I think I gave the cigar a 7.
Yeah.
But I think this particular bottle overpowers this cigar. I think something lower proof would have worked out a little bit better with the cigar. Jonathan Herring had said, like, this is a good coffee cigar, and I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see this going with a cup of coffee. Earlier cigar, earlier in the day with your cup of coffee, sitting on the patio in the sunlight. Like, I think this would go well with that. I think a barrel or a cask strength whiskey is going to kind of overpower this a little bit. I think with some of the dryness and woodiness that we get off the cigar, maybe something that is finished in a wine cask would go well with it, or something with more age because of that oakiness into it. The oakiness from the whiskey and the woodiness from the cigar might complement and elevate the flavor profile in one or the other. But I think this cigar being as one-dimensional as it is and medium body, this bottle just overpowers it.
I can see that. I'm actually looking up something. You're talking about coffee. There's a medium roast. Let me see how they describe this, if they do. Of course, it took me to Amazon instead of... So there's this reminds me going into this. So the whiskey, I'll do the whiskey, the High West. I like this. I'm going to do 8.25. I think it's a good bottle. I enjoy the flavors. I still, even though it's not in the notes, and I know they've got these sensory notes and they're very, very specific, but I still have this second kind of hit of that hint of cinnamon sticks, which they don't talk about, but I think it adds to that warmth of this bottle, and I do enjoy that. It is not, like I said, it's not overly. Some whiskeys I think you sip on, and there's just so much cinnamon and spice to it and stuff like that. And bourbon's not just rye, like a rye spice, but I get a little bit more of that in this on the kind of background, which I think adds some complexity to it. So that's why I give it 8.25. I enjoy this. This is a fun one. High West, I'm hit or miss on most of their bottles, honestly. The Campfire, not for me. I can take a couple sips of it and then I'm like, all right, that's enough for me. But I know I don't know, I see it a lot on the shelf, and I don't know if that's because it doesn't sell or if it is kind of popular. I'm not sure, but
it's the former.
It doesn't sell.
Not very well.
I mean, it's been on the shelf though a lot, like over the last couple 3-4 years. I mean, it's not like I don't think the same bottles are sitting there, so I don't know what it is, honestly. But regardless, I do enjoy this bottle. I'm glad that we did this tonight. I do like the marketing of High West. You talked about it off the air before we went on. I do really enjoy, like, they've got like this really natural glass with like the bubbles in it.
Oh, there's tons of air bubbles in the glass. It's really cool.
And it's got go ahead.
They look kind of like stars.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's good. Good point there. But yeah, it's kind of
and then you got
it's kind of an old West version of like a wine barrel or wine bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an imperfect wine bottle. Mm-hmm. As opposed to a typical wine bottle you see is very, very smooth. This has a little roughness to it. So I do enjoy this product. The cigar, I think, is it's good. I'm not a huge Honduran Puro guy. We talked about the JRE products. That's who's making this cigar for Punch. There's definitely a market for it. I think it's a lighter side for me. I know, Sean, you had said medium plus or whatever. It's a lighter side of medium for me. That makes sense. Forgot about that. Jesus.
We just
I honestly forgot about that.
Can't wait to talk about the second
part. All right. Well, yeah, you talk about the Punch next part. We'll talk about the Onyx a little bit, but good Lord. I think it's a lighter side of medium, almost in the same body as one of our other sponsors, cigar, honestly, is the Monte Cristo White Series. I think if you like the Monte Cristo White Series, you'd like the Punch Golden Era. And that's a very big compliment, in my opinion, because the Monte Cristo White sells so well and is very well received. I think this one...
I would have picked a different Altadis.
Really? What would you pick?
The Romeo y Julieta 1875. Just the regular, like the Bully, the Churchill, like that. Because I think that has a little bit more of that earthiness and woodiness to it that I think is more similar to the Golden Era than the Monte Cristo with that Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper.
Okay. Well, that's what I get. I looked this up because there's a coffee we've been drinking, and I think there's a little bit of a similar note. It's almost like a we didn't talk about it. It was like a honey to the cigar.
Oh.
That's kind of not the musty dusty. It's like there's just like this honey sweetness that I'm getting from the cigar. Did I rate it?
I know you gave 8.25 on
8.25 on the bottle. The cigar 7.75. Okay.
Well, no, Jonathan made a comment about the double decimal points.
Oh.
So that's 2 drinks for double decimal.
Well,
must
saddle up, guys.
Saddle up your horse.
The pairing, I'm a 7. I agree with what you're saying, Nate. It's not the best pairing. And truth be told, this is why that Sean was confused. And the reason that I thought this bottle would go better with what you're about to light up. I grabbed both these cigars. They were they featured in some way at the tent, whether it be the smoking tent event, at the tables, or in the sampler pack. I grabbed them both, not even thinking. And I was going to do the Onyx vintage and then do the Punch second. We were about to start the show, and Nate's like, "We're doing the Punch, huh?" And I was like, "No, the Onyx." And he said, anyways, Punch is made by STG and Forged in general, and the Onyx is made by Altadis, who's our sponsor for the second part. So that's why we did this the other way. Just like, Ray said, they're very professional here at the Bourbon BS podcast. And with that,
we keep it loose.
Cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Live stream will continue. If you're listening to the audio, it will go to part 2 here. But enjoy your week. Stay tuned. We'll get into hear from the audience for part 2. We run a tight ship here. A real tight ship. We got Tony the dog. He's on the camera for part of it. That's why there's a chair here. I was petting him and not touching Nate for the record. Up.
What are you touching?
A lot of wood.
Thank God your mic's muted.
Like a toothpick.
Laced with cinnamon oil.
Something. They kept coming back, man. They really like that cinnamon. First toothpick's always free. Yeah. Like a dime bag of toothpicks.
Dime bag of toothpick.
I feel like there were never any toothpicks.
No, he would just every time they would go out to dinner, he would just, when they would have the toothpicks by the hostess stand, he just sits there and just grabs a handful out of them.
Some next week. How about that?
No, I don't want to get hooked on these things. Jesus Christ, that's the last thing I need. Is another expensive hobby. Guys, hit up Sean Wilkinson if you need some your toothpick fix.
Yeah.
Any flavor.
Yeah. Pre-workout, whiskey, toothpicks.
Why are you always chewing on toothpicks? I can stop anytime I want. Right?
Uh.
All right. Come on, bud. Up. You want to get up here for part 2? Come on. You're okay. Oh, maybe not.
Hi, Tony.
You're going to blame it on the dog, are you?
Oh, no, I take full credit for that one.
All right. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 309, and this is part 2. This is, we were a little different than a lot of the whiskey and cigar podcasts, but this is somewhere we go a little bit off the reservation here, and we do a life topic. So beyond the BS, and this is, Aaron says, best show ever. It's been fun. Good. Glad you're enjoying it. We do life topics, or sometimes we do this, hear from the audience, and I put it out earlier today, 8 hours ago. What would you like to talk about for part 2 tonight? And that's on the Bourbon and BS podcast Facebook page, and then share it to the community page. So we might have to flip back and forth a little bit here. We're enjoying the High West cask strength small batch, and this is for OHLQ. You can find it in Ohio where it's available. Check out OHLQ.com. And we're also smoking for part 2 the Onyx Vintage Nicaragua, made by AJ Fernandez,
which is going to be a featured cigar coming up soon.
Yeah, we should do it up there. Yeah,
okay.
I'll grab a few just for that, and we'll talk about that. Sean already talked about it tonight on part 1. He'll be talking about the Punch Golden Era in part 2, which we smoked in part 1. Kind of cross signals there. It's fine. So this one is where we put it out to the audience, like I said. And if you guys have anything, you can throw it on the comments here. Make sure you share, like, review, and enjoy the show. Starting off, Bobby Hirschman, just sports thing here. The draft is a month away for NFL. I will be enjoying the draft. I don't know if I'll be enjoying the Bears picks at the draft. Big draft for the Bears. They have the number 1 draft pick and the number 9 draft pick in the first round. So very big. Traded away Justin Fields, quarterback. All the talk is about Caleb Williams. Regardless, I'm going to be enjoying it. I'll be in the Dominican Republic at an all-inclusive, and we will be enjoying the draft at the sports bar there. Thursday night. We did it last year. We did it in Cancun. Yeah. So we stuck around just for like the top 10 picks. Oh, okay. We want to see the Bears pick. Kind of fun. Oh, yeah. At the resort. Oh, yeah. It's kind of fun because when we went to the sports bar there, like, we weren't even dressed in our Bears gear that night. But like, you walk in and there was like a little group of like Ravens fans or Steeler fans. Like, so there's all like, yeah, everyone was there for it. Now, we went in October to Cancun, and it was Thursday Night Football was the Bears, and that was when they finally won their first game, 40-20 against the Redskins Commanders. And so I had a Bears shirt on during the day, and Kristen even had a Bears bikini that she wore and all that stuff. So like, everyone was like, oh, these Bears fans are here. And then we couldn't watch the game. Long story short, next morning we went to like the buffet, and like a couple people were like, oh, there's Bears fans. What'd you think of the game last night? I was like, we didn't watch it. And they're like, it was on in the sports bar. Like, what? We had asked the bartender. I was like, yeah, first win in almost a full calendar year. And the night before, we asked the sports bar, like, do you guys have Amazon Prime to watch the game tomorrow night? They said no, because it was, here in the States, it's Amazon Prime. So we had an iPad in the room, and we're trying to all right, let's go back to the room and watch the game, have some drinks, long day in the sun, and Amazon Prime's like, you're out of the country, you can't watch Amazon Prime. So we're like, well, fuck. Turns out they have it on a different broadcast in Mexico, and it was on a sports bar. My cousin's husband was at a resort literally next door, and he was texting. We were like, let's just go to bed, and he's texting. He's like, so what do you think of the game? I'm like, I woke up like, how'd you watch it? He's like, it was on the 105-inch TV in the lobby. I was like, what are you talking about? Anyways, we're gonna watch the draft. The comment here from Bobby Hirschman, for those that are NFL fans or football fans, is the new kickoff rule.
There's a lot. There's a lot with the new kickoff rule.
So the new kickoff rule, they're modeling it after the XFL.
Yep.
So the main thing is that basically the kicker's still where they are with the kickoff, right? The receiver is normal spot, but instead of the whole line of the special teams on the kickoff team being with the kicker and running down the field, and the staggered receiving special teams, it's basically a lot they're on I don't know what it is, 25 and 35. And
25 and 30. I think there's 5 yards.
They're lined up. Kickers back here, receivers behind their guys, but there's 10 guys on each side within 5 to 10 yards. Maybe it is 5. They're right there. So they kick off and they can't really move until they receive it.
Yeah.
And then it's go.
What about onside kicks?
So
that was my question.
So you have to declare
onside kicks.
If you're going to do an onside, there's no more surprise onside kicks. You have to declare
that you're doing, which typically
Yeah. So you have to declare that you're doing onside
Ray
kick.
Chester's, I'm going to go make some coffee, very slow coffee.
Go ahead.
Not a big fan of American football, Ray Chester over there.
So everything from goal line to 20 yards is where the receiver is going to be, and he can't fair catch in that area. So if the kick lands in that, if the kick comes down in that area, he's got to return it. Unless it bounces in that area and then goes into the end zone, then I think if it goes in like that, it comes out to the 20. If it goes into the end zone, it comes out to the 35. If it goes out of bounds or out of the back of the end zone, it comes out to the 40.
The 40?
Which is what they do if it goes out of bounds anyway.
I thought it was 35.
That's 40.
It used to be 20.
Because it's an illegal procedure. If it goes out of bounds to the side.
Oh, the side. I'm sorry. Normally
if it goes out of bounds to the side, it's an illegal procedure.
But it goes out the back of the end zone. They moved it up. It used to be the 20. I think they moved up recently before this, and now. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Bobby Hirschman was not happy about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing it does.
He said how stupid the new kickoff rule is in the NFL.
Well, the one thing that some people are excited about is now it's going to incentivize returns.
That's
and one of the biggest complaints last year was 77% of kickoffs were touchbacks.
Yeah. So
the hope is with these rules that people are going to be trying to return the ball more often. So there's going to be an actual play instead of a guy just standing there watching the ball go over his head.
Where I feel like they also spun it as they wanted less big hits. And
the guys just run down full speed, hitting one of the blockers.
But yet they want more returns. And then you compound that with what Nate's commented on there, which was you can no longer do the hip tackle from behind.
Yeah.
So you're all right there. So if that guy runs through, it's just him and the kicker because it's harder to tackle from behind at this point.
What usually those guys can launch it in the end zone, no problem. Though, do they moving the kicker back, or they can't kick it through the end zone?
Okay, so Jonathan Herring puts all right. So the landing zone's the area between the receiving team's goal line and its 20-yard line. Any kick that hits short of the landing zone is treated. So if the kick goes,
that's a paragraph.
If the kick goes shy of the 20-yard line,
put this up on the screen for everyone,
or goes out of bounds, it's spotted at the 40-yard line.
Okay.
For those sports fans following at home, here you go.
All right. Any kick that lands in the landing zone must be returned. Any kick that hits in the landing zone and then goes into the end zone must be returned or downed by the receiving team. If that happens, the ball, it's a touchback. The ball goes out to the 20. If the kick hits in the end zone, stays in bounds, and then is downed, it's a touchback to the 30. And then if it goes out of the back of the end zone, it comes out to the 30. So if you kick it out of the end zone or it's downed in the end zone, and so if you kick it too far, the team gets more yardage coming out of it, coming out. So they get the ball at the 30. If you kick it too short or out of bounds, which is that part's already the rule, then it comes out to the 40. If it bounces in, if it lands in that 20-yard landing zone and then is downed in the end zone, it comes out to the 20. So the incentive is to not kick it out of the back of the end zone, but also for the receiving team, if it's kicked short of the end zone, to run it back.
Okay. So kicking it through it is trouble
don't kick it too far.
Oh, wow.
So
don't kick it too
in the XFL, I'm very curious to see how this, like, if there's like a new, like it backfires and they find a hole and now it's just them and the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
And you have two backfires. You get these badass kickers just balling up and just being like, I got this guy. And just now it's one-on-one like American Gladiator
Your
style.
Kicker better be like
now you
Pat,
got no
he better be like Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee could I'm not
well, the kickers are going to have to start training more, like in terms of getting speed. And
otherwise,
you got to have a kicker that can lay the wood.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to the wood thing. I think everyone likes a good kicker tackle.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like a good punter. They get by everyone, and then it's like, oh, he's only got the kicker to beat. No, he got him. The kicker got him. And I think everyone loves that. I know I do. Or there just might be like touchdowns. Like just that's it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, can you imagine like a quarter of football? These are like nothing against the Rocks XFL, but like these are higher end athletes than the XFL at this point. Can you imagine just watching like the first game of the season and it's like, here we go, the kickoff. Let's see how this new rule works. Runs it back. Whoa, got it. All right. Now they're going to be kicking off the other way. Here we go. And here comes the other team kicking off to another run back. All right. It's 7-7 here. All right. Now we're going to kick it off. And it's just like 21-21 in the first quarter. Like, I think they're going to have to rethink this rule here because no shot. Like, I would love to see that. Be like,
quit betting the unders.
Monday on like, first take. They're like, we got Roger Goodell on here. They're flipping the script here. It's a good rule for week 1.
I think there's gonna be some confusion. The receiver is gonna be like doing one of these fair catches and like, oh shit, I can't do that.
Can't do that. I gotta go.
Yeah, this ain't college.
I don't know. Anyways, like we can get the hip tackle thing is another. I think that's enough NFL talk here for part 2. We can go on down that road. Here's another light one though. Ryan Ponus, who we were smoking the Punch Golden Era from Forged. Do you remember Cosmic Bowling?
With like the neon lights?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me see if I can copy and paste this on this. I don't know if it'll work. There you go. Oh Lord. Undo. Put it up on the screen here. So this is actually from Ryan Ponus. Remember Cosmic Bowling? Why is that the sport we did Cosmic? Cosmic Hockey would be pretty cool. Cosmic Luge. That's another interesting one.
Sure.
All right. So Cosmic Hockey. All right. So Cosmic Bowling. Dim lights.
Yeah. Like
neon.
A little bit of black.
Neon, black lights. That kind of stuff. Laser lights. Okay. Fine. What's the object of bowling? You throw a ball down the lane.
It's no defense.
You knock over a bunch of pins. Like there's lights on the pins or the pins glow in the dark. You can see the pins. You know what you're supposed to do. If you did it with hockey, like what the puck is going to be light up.
It has.
The puck's going to be neon. If you don't do that, you're not going to see the puck because there's not enough light.
There's have to paint them.
You'd have to cover the puck in glow in the dark paint. And it's like, what are we doing? I think that just turns hockey into just a goofball of a sport. And I don't think you could do that. I think
it's dangerous.
I think hockey is one
already.
of the
Baseball
most.
would be interesting
I think
too.
hockey.
There's no way you can hit a fastball with fucking swirling, you know, the
laser light show.
laser lights and no, not at all.
Or is it this one that gets the laser lights going? Is that one? There we go.
There you go. That's
There
what
we
you
go.
want to try to hit a fastball with.
You can't see it, Sean, but everyone else did.
Yeah.
Um,
Cosmic bowling, it's safe.
yes.
Hockey would be tough. Luge, I don't know. Luge might be all right because you know they already know the course. You know, you're kind of watching it. It might be tough for the spectator.
I don't know. Going down a bobsled chute at 70 miles an hour with nothing around you, like I don't want to go into a corner doing 65 and all of a sudden there's a laser light on me. You're like, what the fuck? And bam, right up into the wall and out. Like, no, that's
pulling G's around those things too.
Oh yeah, like no, that doing it for luge, that'd be way too dangerous. Like that's a dangerous enough sport as it is. Whether luge or the skeleton where you're just on the sled going head first, like no.
I think bowling's a safe one. I think you could probably go with like a good like English game of like croquet. That'd be fun to have a little cosmic style there. You know what I mean? Just because there's not a whole lot of action there, it's safer.
Yeah. Well, and why do they do it for bowling? Because it's to make it like a little bit more exciting. It's like because otherwise, when you just have a bowling alley, it's just fluorescent lighting and you throwing a ball down the lane. Like that's it. Doing the whole neon lights thing, like that's supposed to be entertaining. You get a lot of high school kids, after prom going to the bowling alleys.
We got Ryan Ponus here, cosmic table tennis. You'd never be able, you couldn't see the ball.
No, it's too quick.
No, it's just too quick. I mean, it's ace. I mean, it's like no
cosmic midget wrestling. There's one.
All right, let's move on. Jesus Christ!
Wow.
We started off light and like Ray's like riveting points here tonight, boys.
But no, you do it to bowling because
are you still on the cosmic?
It adds entertainment to the sport. It diminishes from the others.
Golf would be fun, but it'd be a lot of.
It was to get like teenagers to go, at 9 p.m. on a Friday to do something. You know what I mean? You dim the bowling alley even further. And you go with a group of teenagers to do cosmic bowling. That's why they did it.
Yeah, I throw the ball and turn around like, hey, you're up. Oh, all my friends are making out. Never mind, I'm still up.
You want me to roll for you? Never mind, I got it. Just yeah. I think she likes you. Jesus Christ. Next. Let's take it. Ryan's just like, I can't believe it. Like, I'm so glad this was talked about on the show.
Played,
anything. That's why you put it out on the comments when I asked.
Well played, Ryan.
About.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have to be serious. Right.
And then there's the rest of the comments.
Then there's the rest. Let's do Ray if he's still sipping on that coffee. He had a good one here. Actually.
It is breakfast for Ray, so.
So topic for tonight. Let's see if I can do this too. Can I copy, paste? Nice. These are all from people, not me, but Ryan Ponce says 10 out of 10. We'll watch again. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Ray has a comment here, and I put it up here. Not from me again. Topic for tonight: does where you're born/live really impact your chances in life, or is it still a choice in how you approach your future? So we went from NFL to cosmic bowling
deep
to social chance here. And are you making the choices, or is where you're born/live, does that make more of an impact of a choice on how you approach your future?
Sure.
Sean
Absolutely.
says.
I mean, it depends on it's like when you go visit other, like, let's say you go to Alaska and people are born and raised there. Like, I'll go back to sports. Everyone, like, it would be, they would have a certain way of how they were brought up, and what was normal to them may be totally off from what we do. And to them makes they love being there and doing whatever their culture is.
So you say, sure, there were I feel like there was two. Is it more the where you're born/live, or is it choice in how you approach your future? when he says impact your chances in life, however you want to take that.
Mm-hmm.
You bring up Alaska, you say, sure. Like, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, they're going to have a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Than people that are born and live in Florida.
Right.
Or where he's at, Vietnam.
If I'm a little off tonight, it's because I have some back pain. So I took a Vicodin.
Cinnamon toothpick.
And then I had some bourbon. So
you're fine.
It's starting to hit me a little bit.
No, it's fine. You're not looking at this the comment either though. So it's
they've actually done studies on this when it comes to schools. So people from K through 12, like different school districts that you live in, and then what those people like, how their lives progress after they are out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And it statistically it is a thing where based on your zip code, where you live and the schools available in your area, it has a huge impact on the opportunities available to you and the type of life that that is readily available. Now, anyone can sit there and go from a bad upbringing and make great choices and have a great future, and anyone can come up from a wealthy upbringing and make piss poor choices and absolutely destroy their life.
Mm-hmm.
There's extremes on either side.
Numbers game.
But yeah, exactly. The majority that live in certain, let's say, low income, they don't have really good schools, or the schools are failing on all the test scores and stuff like that. The outcome that those kids from those zip codes have is the opportunities available to them are not great.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the other way around.
Because I was trying to get
and so that's why there are people that that's why there are people that support school choice and like school vouchers and being able to choose, like, no, I don't want to pay to send my kid to a failing public school. I want my kid to go to a school that actually succeeds and has good teachers and has opportunities and has certain classes that I think my kid will succeed better in. But then that's not an option unless they want to sit there and move into that school district. Well, maybe that school district, the cost of housing is a lot higher, or taxes are a lot higher, and the family can't afford to move into that district.
Yep.
So that's kind of why they're the proponents of school choice and vouchers. Like, okay, fine. This parent doesn't want to pay taxes in a school district of failing schools and their child be a victim of a failing school program. They'd rather be able to take that money and be like, no, I'd rather pay that money to this school district and send my kid to that.
That's not how properties work, though.
I get that.
So that I think that speaks to the question right here is that.
But that's what.
Yeah, it'd be great. Be like, yeah, I want to live here, but I want to send my kid to another public school or this school. It's like that. Then move. But it's not always that easy.
No,
that's
not.
Kind of where I think the
not
question
at all.
is.
Yeah. It's not easy to do. Not everyone has the ability to be able to do that or be able to. You have people that are living in lower income apartments.
That's all they can.
And their kid, schools almost looked at more of like a daycare for their kid. So they don't have the ability to just pick up from an apartment and move into a 2-story house and send their kid to a nice off school. Not everyone has that opportunity, but I think that's what that argument always comes down to is it's unfortunate that a person's chances in life can be it's not always a guarantee one way or the other, but they can be heavily dictated based on the zip code in which they live.
All right. So I'll comment on this, and there's a lot of comments going back and forth, is that, like your mentality sets you up, not where you went to school. Let's see here. Sean had one here. Where was it? If you're strictly talking location, then no, it doesn't. Folks can always escape. Buses run every day. I think the folks that say hard life is because I was born here, just play the victim card. I think there's always exceptions. I will say, well, Sean, I'll actually speak to your case. I don't know all of it with you and Molly. You and Teresa and Molly.
Sure.
You adopted a child with cleft palate from China. If you had not done that, her life would be extremely different.
Yes.
Yes. I had a college professor, I was a social major, for those who don't know, not great for getting a job, but great major. I enjoyed it. And I had a professor who was like, looked around. I went to Miami University. It's a very good public school here in Ohio. For those who don't know, they consider themselves the Ivy League. My niece is going there, Ivy League of the Midwest, even though it's a public school, whatever. Anyways, he looked around the room and he said, I want to congratulate all you guys for picking the right parents. You were all born in likely, statistically speaking, middle to upper class parents that are in the suburbs or big cities. And I want to give you, kudos for choosing those parents. And the point was clearly, and you guys are all intelligent listening to this, most of you, in this garage and outside of it, to the extreme, if you chose parents in a third world country where the water is not clean, to the extreme of the people that are the big celebrities, are like, oh, they didn't have a high school education. Oh, they grew up in, and the other real extreme is that you grow up, you were born in a country where likely you're not going to make it to the age of 5 because there just is no survival based on where you were born. There is some factuality of, yes, you don't have a good chance in life because of where you're born and live. We talk about the U.S. a lot because we are, I think, in the spotlight over most other countries. At least we're very selfish where we're in Ohio right now. So we look at it that way, but I think a lot of the world looks at us that we think that way, and it's true. And we think that it's like, oh, if you're born inner city, if you're born a certain race, there's a lot of factual evidence and statistics that is a setback, which causes the overcorrection of what we are going through right now, where it's like, because you were born in this socioeconomical class or you're born of a certain race, now we're going to have to stack the cards for you. It's those things of, not to go down this rabbit hole too far, but I mean, you watch these interviews on shows where it's like, if you're half white, half black, and you're applying to college, what do you check off? You're supposed to check off, according to admissions, check off that you're black descent, African-American descent, instead of white, or checking off both boxes, because the mentality there is that even if you have a small fraction, we've been doing this for a while with, like, if you had like 1/16 Native American, you could apply for a Native American scholarship for college. I mean, these are the things that there's good effort there. There's good, I think, intentions there, but I think there's overcorrection, because I do think there's always a choice in how you approach your future. There's always that part of it. But when life hits you and you're got a bad hand dealt to you, it is harder to win that game. But you can do that. But I think overall, it's a mixture of the two things, because there's plenty of people that have everything handed to them and they fuck it up as well. But that's what I'll say to that. I'm not sure.
Yes, please do.
What was it? I didn't see.
So Ray asked the question.
I'm making my point. I didn't.
Ray asked the question, like, would Molly have been able to succeed in China had they not adopted? And I had made the comment.
No, let him answer though.
I will, but I'd made the comment to Ray, like, not really with the cleft palate, which is what Molly's biggest issue was.
Right.
And Ray's like, what? They don't fix that over there?
Well, yeah, they do. But here's the thing: just because I was dealt with it and learned a lot about what happened.
I'm sorry to bring that up. I just think that was very
no. I think that's a great
question.
It's totally fine. And being, adopting a child from China, you learn a lot about what happens to these kids. And so a lot of these children that aren't adopted, and the older they get, the harder it is for them to become adopted, because people want younger kids. It's hard to bring a child that's even 4 or 5 and over to bring into a different country with a different language, because by that time they're learning, they don't know English. All they know is Chinese, which they'll learn eventually, which is fine. But I've also seen or read a lot where if a child is not adopted, they're in an orphanage until they're 18, and then they're turned loose and they say, good luck. I'm sure they try to prepare them somewhat, but they're inundated with children there.
What would you say the success rate, given this question, is of people in that situation like Molly would have been in, that as I think most fucking Netflix documentaries would say, is that they have gotten out of the system, they've succeeded in life, versus the people that haven't? Do you think it's, and I don't know, I hope it's what I don't think it is, but more of those kids end up in bad situations versus the ones that succeed in life.
Yeah, I think they don't have people to really guide them because they're in a very crowded facility where the caretakers are trying to, raise, it's one caretaker for 5 to 10 kids,
Whatever it might be, right?
And so they'll try to prepare them, but I think I'm sure there's children that have grown up through it and have been successful, but I would think for the most part, they don't have, like, having a kid and bringing Molly into an everyday life situation, taking them out and them being in public and learning things. They're not getting that there. They just live in an orphanage. And so to be able to just say at 18, here you go, good luck. And that happens here in the States too. If kids aren't adopted and they live in an orphanage up till 18, when they're 18, they're on their own. And so I don't know what they've done now in comparison to what I learned. Maybe they're, now that you can have more than one child, maybe that's lightening.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. And
that's, by the way,
and that's lighting, that's probably lighting the load, I hope. But for kids with special needs, it's even more difficult. I mean, Molly had a cleft lip, cleft palate. Yes, they will fix it there. They eventually do. But there's also speech therapy. There's orthodontics. Yeah. There's multiple surgeries, not just to fix the lip and the palate. As they get older, they have to have more surgeries. And then there's there's that. And then depending on how well the surgeon is, if they're looking kind of disfigured and stuff, they're going to get looks. People are going to look at them differently there. And it's
everywhere. Even
when we had Molly here with the open palate, we had her, it wasn't repaired until 3 or 4 months from after we brought her home because she was so malnourished. But right. Because when we were in public with Molly, people would stare and look and kids were like, we would understand. And we would always say, wow. Do you have any questions? Obviously you're looking at our kid. You have a question. Well, what are they? Is it hurt? Are they okay? But
it's out of concern most of the time. It's
usually,
like,
but then you get the adults that we've had to encounter, and they stare just like the kids. And my wife and I both have been like, and I can help you with. You have any questions? I see you staring at my child, and a lot of times they'll just, oh, nothing. Sorry, it's like they won't even.
Well, I'd have to say, I think a lot of it's kind of a similar spectrum there, right? It's like the kids, they're going to be more honest, be like, yeah, what's going on? Like the adults are gonna be like, no, nothing. I wasn't, like, they're not gonna be like you could have a kid literally all good intentions in that situation and be like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with your kid?
Yeah. So 99.9,
like, adults are like, most are too afraid to say anything. It's like, it'd be better if they're like, I don't want to say anything, but like, does it hurt? Like, same thing. Does it hurt? Are they okay? Like, is there anything that we can do? Like, there's curiosity there.
And I understand that. And there's
curiosity. The fact that it's not that long ago. It's probably still very prevalent today. Is that, you have a child adopted of a different descent. Like, shit, that's still not the norm.
And we still get looks from that.
Absolutely.
And
whose kid is that? Right. I mean, like people just don't understand.
Yeah. And you get used to it after a while. And when I say, like, when adults would stare at Molly, usually anybody, it would be a natural reaction for you to go, whoa. And then most adults may look and they kind of just look away and do their own thing. But then there were a few that would just like lock in on her. And I'm like, okay, dude, you're making it awkward. Quit fucking staring.
Yeah. Well, and you're the Papa Bear, right? So you're gonna be like, you got a problem, bro?
Yeah, when their mouth's fucking hanging open.
Why don't you look at me?
Yeah. So
I think we've derailed a little bit from the topic.
Yeah.
But I think you don't know the path that Molly would have had. You don't. And I think that it speaks to this point or question that Ray had of, is it born live versus the choice you have? I think that boils down to the whole nature versus nurture type of a conversation as well, where I think it's a little bit of both, or a lot of bit of both. It's I don't know what the percentages are, but I think it could be different in different circumstances. But I do think that if you're dealt a stronger hand in life, whatever the aspect or arena that you're talking about, I think whatever you're dealt with, it's easier for you from the get-go. You can still fuck it up and you can still You know what I mean? You can lose, but it's a lot harder to take that, you know, the hand dealt metaphor further. It's a lot harder to go into a hand of poker with like Texas Hold'em with a pair of, or with a 2 and a 7 versus you're dealt a pair of aces, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, just statistically, it's you're better off being like, I would love to get dealt a pair of aces every time.
Yeah.
And if life comes at you,
or be chip leader going into a hand,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's the same thing. Yes, it's that. And Sean, I'm sorry I can't get to all your points here. I think you do have a lot of good points here.
That's fine.
No,
Sean
Sean Anderson, he's doing that, you know.
Yeah, Sean.
You know,
other Sean.
I'm looking at these here. The big thing is Ray, great question, great topic. I think this is something that there's not a right answer for it. I think everyone has an opinion of it, but everyone can come up with a different thing. What are you laughing at? Comments. I'm sorry. Yeah. I do think that there's no right answer, but it's a great one.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think it's just like anything else, honestly. It's that 80-20 rule where it's like the 10% on the bottom that, you know, they're dealt the hardest hand, and some will do really well. A lot of them won't. The 10% on the top, they can fuck it up all they want. They're still going to win in life somehow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we see it in like the rich, prolific people that we have in America and across the world. And then the 80%, we're the ones that are just like, we're
trying to get by, man.
Yeah, man. Like,
trying to pay my mortgage.
I was dealt an okay hand, but man, I just went to the doctor and they said that, man, I got a bad prognosis. Jesus. Diagnosis? Prognosis. Diagnosis?
Prognosis is like, well, here's their chances going forward. Diagnosis is like, all right, here's the fucking problem.
Well, it's dealt both. I mean, like, you know, I guess it goes hand in hand, right? I don't know. Thanks for clearing that up for me. So yeah, that was a hard left there. What else we got? All right, before we have too many more drinks here, we had one from Ann.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. Copy and pasting, keep working, Apple, boom. And Sean, thanks for sharing that stuff, because I mean, I know you're not shy about that, but I mean, it was something that was so relevant and in my face that I brought it up, because you've shared your story before on here.
Never have a problem talking about it. I appreciate you doing that.
Ann Dimmick, who was listening earlier, I don't know if she's still on right now, but April is Alcohol Awareness Month. Side note, we have months for everything, days for everything, right? You know, but
just about, yeah.
April is Alcohol Awareness Month, so we're approaching April here. How can you be mindful about hobbies that can be fine in moderation and not fine in extremes? So this is...
Say it again.
April is Alcohol Awareness Month. How can you be mindful about hobbies that can be fine in moderation and not fine in extremes? So whatever the hobby might be, this is brought up in alcohol. Obviously, we're drinking here, and we know. I mean, I know I'm not alone. I've drank too much and put myself in a tough situation, and more times than I'd like to. One is more time than I like to, but more, you know, so I can relate to that part of it. I think she's also adding to this is, you know, just any hobbies that, you know, can be fine in moderation, but not fine in extreme. So we can tackle kind of all that stuff here. I think first and foremost, I think something, talking about the alcohol stuff, if it's a hobby or you're enjoying yourself, I think you can have very good experiences, very good memories, stuff like that. Alcohol is a very, I think, obvious one here, is that when I say that you can have very good experiences and very good memories, if you don't have the memories because you've taken it too far and you're like in a one-time thing, that's a problem. You need to start addressing that, or need to address it. If it's something that is affecting your health, that's even further extreme. Not just the one time you drank too much or you went too far and with something, but now this is something that is building and is a detriment to your health or to your relationships, to your mental health, your job, all of that stuff.
Yeah, like if you're showing up for work every day hungover, might be a problem. Might be a problem. If you're getting blackout drunk every single night, might be a problem. No, that's like, I mean, I always have to be careful when I pick up a hobby, whether it be cigars, alcohol. I used to, there was a point in time where I got into paintball, and I went and spent a bunch of money on paintball gear and was playing paintball like 3 times a month on the weekends with a group of friends. And like I was still living at home, and yet I was spending money on paintball gear.
Were you good?
Yes.
Did other people think you were good?
Well, I was at a place that had, you know, paintball. It was an actual paintball business, and like they had the arenas and stuff like that where you would go and
splatter
play.
park.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I'd been accused of having my gun on full auto. And then I showed the
like, no, bro, I'm Doc Holliday.
So I was like, no.
Huh?
They're remaking
I
that.
did hear there. Like, it's a rumor. I thought it was a social media thing. Matthew McConaughey.
But like, I would get like kind of a, like when I would get into something, I would get in like all the way. If I started playing a video game, then every single night when I got home from work, I'm spending from the time I got home to the time I go to bed playing that.
I had a
game.
thumb blister from RC Pro-Am back in the day.
I used to be that way.
Like you push down on that A or B button. There was only 2 of them on the Nintendo, and it's like you just wanted to hit the gas harder, but it literally was on and off. Like it was
cramps.
You remember that?
Yeah,
RC Pro-Am.
Yep.
Just like it's going so hard, and then like you're turning blisters.
I was that way with. I used to be that way with golf.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
When I was single, it was piece of cake.
Super easy to be into a hobby.
And then I remember when
super easy.
When
I got this.
When I started getting pretty serious about golf. Well, when Teresa and I started dating, we were getting pretty serious. I remember she walked with me one time on a course we played, and I remember I didn't play that well, so I wanted to go hit balls after we had lunch, and she was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Not a
like,
golfer.
Yeah,
Teresa.
She just no, she.
But
I remember like, I better. I had to kind of shift gears a little bit and kind of. I mean, I had to be called out on it so I could know to maybe back off a little bit, and then. But now, you know, I know the one thing about that is I was really extreme with it when I was younger and single. I don't play as much, obviously, now just because family and kids and everything. Yeah. But I learned to appreciate it a lot more now when I play because I don't try super hard and I'm not super like in it 24/7. It's more about just going out and have fun. And now but I used to be that way with a lot of things. Like I'd go to the full, like I remember when I started playing pool, I wanted to put a pool table in my parents' house. And they're like, "Are you stupid?"
Like, how are you going to afford that?
Yeah. Or put where we're going to put it.
Yeah, that's a good question too. I was, so I'll speak to the, how can you be mindful about hobbies that can be fine in moderation and not fine in extremes? I would say Charlie Creekmore said something about addiction. And I think that's something that really, it doesn't have to be alcohol or something very, very polarized with that. Not taken away from anything like that, but I think it can be anything. It's the time consumption that you guys are touching on, the financial restraints or constraints that you run into when you start spending money on a hobby that you don't have and you're going in debt doing it. Yeah. We do a show about bourbon and cigars. You start buying bottles that you shouldn't buy because you're collecting stuff. I'll spin it this way, even with the bourbon side of it. You're drinking a bit too much, but you're going to the bars and you're spending more money going to the bars when you could be more frugal. It's like cooking at home versus going out to eat. Sure. Okay. And I'm not trying to make light of this. I'm just saying, like, but when you start collecting bottles and you look at it as like, well, I mean, it's an investment. It's like, are you ever going to sell the bottles? We're like, well, no. but if I have to, I could. And it's like, what's your credit card look like right now? There's an investment here. Like, if I had to, I could turn this around and I can pay off my credit card and then some. It's like, all right, now the financial constraints are really like coming down on you. And I also think that the hobbies that affect your relationships, like you're talking about, Sean, you know, it's like golf, the way you're doing it. I don't like to take it the other way, completely extreme, where you completely drop a hobby, whatever it might be, because if you enjoy it, moderation is okay. I think sometimes the cold turkey thing, it backfires, because now all of a sudden you're miserable, as Sean said, as he's using the outhouse, I believe. You're miserable, and now all of a sudden you got resentment towards the things that you're trying to save because you miss your hobby. So it's,
well, I think it helps to know,
being mindful is important.
I think it helps to know what kind of person you are and what your abilities are. I've had family members who have had very addictive personalities.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to try certain things because they knew, like my stepdad at one point many years ago, like he kind of had an addiction to Faygo Red Pop, which sounds silly.
It's also terrible. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're going,
red cream soda is better than Red Pop.
Okay, whatever. But like,
I'm just saying,
when you're drinking so much that like you go to the dentist and your teeth, like, how often do you brush? Oh, twice a day. Well, your teeth are red. They're stained red. Like, what's going on?
Well, I'm using Red Pop to brush my teeth. Is that a problem?
that would be a problem.
I thought the carbonation would like act like the foaming.
Yeah. And so like, and like I kind of think of it like when it comes to like a addiction, like Ann's talking about, hobbies, moderation versus extremes. I think back to a couple years ago when Jess and I moved to where we live at now. The first couple nights, we have the patio with the screen that's screened in, and we moved in late spring, so it was nice weather every night. And the first couple nights, I was sitting on that back patio, having cigars, drinking whiskey. I was working from home, so I could literally get up 5 minutes before I needed to be online and
get it from bed or from your patio.
Do what?
I said, did you get it from bed or from your patio?
From bed.
Just that's extremes.
Yes, it is. Okay.
So I roll into my house from my patio.
But like the first couple nights, I'd be on the patio smoking cigars, drinking whiskey till 2:00 in the morning. And after that second night, I was like, you know what? Because I know how I am, I actually had to say to myself, I can't do this every night.
No.
And it wasn't because of, the amount of cigars I'd smoke or the amount of whiskey I would drink or the financial side. It was, if I'm out here doing this every single night, as soon as I'm done with work, that means I'm not spending any time or focusing on the relationship I have with my wife. That is a problem.
You're sacrificing relationships that are important to you.
Yeah. So that's when I had to sit there and go, okay, it's nice to be able to do this a couple times a week, not something I should do every single day. And so like so there are times where I have to consciously sit there and go, man, it's really nice outside, but like I just had the podcast 2 nights ago, and then Thursday night I sat outside on the patio. And then, Friday night, I get home from work. I get home at 9:30. It's still 75 degrees in the summertime at 9:30 at night. It's like, man, this would be a really nice night to sit outside. I don't have to get up till 10:00 in the morning. Maybe I should spend some time with my wife, though.
So I think the word hobby, and we can move on from this, is you hear people say you need to find a new hobby. It doesn't mean you have to eliminate the last hobby or the one you really enjoy. There's some times where it's like, yeah, you enjoy doing that. Sean, you enjoy playing golf. You don't want to call it a hobby, but it's also, hobbies are interests that take up your time.
Yeah.
not calling relationships a hobby, but they can compete with hobbies.
Yeah.
So that's like treat things that are important to you equally to a point, or prioritize them, obviously.
Yep.
Don't treat your home life or your family with the same respect as you do your hobby of golf or smoking cigars, whatever. I'm saying you have to prioritize a bit of that, and I think we all learn at different speeds, and sometimes you do run into, hopefully your rock bottom is treetop level. Like, it's not the gutter. It's like, hey, everything's going well. Why are you upset with, like, why we aren't spending time with each other? Like, shit. Let's balance this. You know what I mean? And I think successful relationships, I think successful careers, I think everything, it's the same thing of when, like, a career, your job, you want to take a vacation, you want to spend time doing other things, and it is eating you up and you can't take a vacation. Same mentality, or same train of thought, that there has to be some sort of balance. Doesn't always mean 50-50. It means that it's balanced to the scale that you find successful for you, is the way I look at it. And it's constantly changing. And when you add in other people, like your significant other or your boss, your job, whatever it might be, your boys that you play golf with, whatever it is, you got to have a mutual respect there, I think, on all those fronts.
I think Ray's upset that when you go off into, onto not a rant, but I think Ray
That was a point. What
yeah, you go into a point and
right,
like, he's not paying attention to my topic.
What?
Well,
I already talked about your topic.
He's talking about gym bunnies.
What are gym bunnies? What about those gym buddies who are addicted?
It's like,
am I a gym
the
bunny?
whole time he's talking about a point. Sorry, you couldn't read your comment.
Am I a gym bunny?
I don't think he was calling you out.
What? Who's the gym bunny here?
Well, of any of us here, you would be the one. Of any of us, let's.
Mike Dieter says they're called gym rats. And Ray, as always, not upset about anything. I agree with him on that. Yeah, no, that's the same thing, is the health and fitness and working out and doing all that stuff. It doesn't matter if you're just, when I'm taking walks or doing whatever it is. If you sacrifice your personal health or your fitness and diet and all that stuff, that's a great example for this too. You go too far, you go into that dysmorphia type mentality, and it's an addiction, and you sacrifice your relationships for it. You spend too much money doing stuff. But it is about another thing that you want to have balance of, in my opinion. If that's what Ray Cheshire is referring to on the comments. Is that good? Did I address it?
Yeah, I think you did.
Nice.
What else we got?
I'm looking here. There's a travel one, which I know we've talked about, which you're... All right. Got one.
All right. Loading it up
here.
What we got?
So this is from Sean Anderson, who I think is still listening here. Does a single moment truly hold the power to change everything? And if yes, how?
I think it can.
This
I
is
think...
one of those moments in life where it's like you think that this is going to, if I say yes, if I say no, if I do this or I don't do this, this is going to change my life forever. That's how I read that.
I think there are. I think a lot of the things that we would consider, if you were to sit there and go, "What's an extreme moment that would change your life forever?" Or let me rephrase.
Sean doesn't have a mic in front of him, but he said if you're going to propose,
well, yeah, that would be one. But I think anytime we think, like, if you were to ask someone, like, "Hey, what's an extreme moment that would change your life forever?" Or I'm sorry, what's a single moment that would change your life forever?
You took it too extreme.
But I think that's how people would answer things. So something such as proposing or making a job change could have a change on, the trajectory of the rest of your life. But also on the negative side, like if there are certain crimes that if you were to commit would absolutely change the rest of your life.
If you're going to commit a crime?
Yeah. Like,
what's the crime?
If you get caught.
Well, I'm pretty sure if all of a sudden out of the blue, you're like, you know what? This person pissed me off. I'm going to kill him. That's going to change
Some
the
murders. That does fit to your extreme thing. What about jaywalking?
No, because even if you got a ticket, you're like, oh, all right, I got busted for jaywalking. You pay the
What
ticket.
if you jaywalk and you got hit by a car?
That's going to change your life. That's going to change everything.
You want to talk about criminal activity, Sean? Go ahead.
Yes. My first offense. No.
On the screen, you're going to see Sean Wilkinson's rap sheet. Hang on.
And a mugshot.
Why are you wearing that shirt?
No, the what we said so far is like things that you did that can create that. There's other things that can happen to you. Yeah. And I don't know if it falls in like things that happen to you that you have no control over.
Well, Jonathan Herring brought one up in his comment, like getting fired from a job
or having a brain tumor.
Having a brain tumor. You didn't make that choice.
and I've lost my vision from it.
We're talking about extremes here, Sean.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you make it more relative to the conversation?
Yeah, that's my bad. That's
I was talking about jaywalking a minute ago, and you brought up
cancer.
Go ahead.
Brain cancer.
And we're joking about it. It's terrible.
It's okay.
This is the worst show ever.
No, it's not.
No, but there's things in your life that are going to happen to you. You can't control. It's going to change your life forever. And
you didn't choose to be diagnosed with that, right? I mean,
no, I wasn't a fan of it. I wasn't excited about it at all. But
you weren't a fan.
But I think that it changed my life forever. But to me, and I've said it before, it's changed it for the good. Like I've had a lot of good things come out of it because of it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I look at it that way too.
Well, that's full circle, honestly, to, the original thing with Ray, talking about, where you were born or live versus, your choice and all that stuff. I mean, that comes down to that, the diagnosis or prognosis or whatever. I mean, that is something that that's the hand you're dealt.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't choose to, should I get cancer or not? Should I have a tumor or not? I mean, but it's how you react to it. I mean, with all respect to the sincerity and the severity of it is honestly that could have gone for you and everyone involved the other way.
Oh yeah, I was prepared for it.
You what?
I was prepared. I wrote letters to people.
You've shared that on the show before, but it's great to have that perspective on it, is that you're dealt that hand and
just keep moving forward.
You got to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's how you look at it, man. A single moment truly hold the power to change everything. Absolutely. I think it's not everything. I don't know how to not be cheesy about this, but life is made up of a constant series of moments that you can choose, you cannot choose. Sometimes you can't. I mean, moments just come.
Mm-hmm.
Does a single moment truly hold the power to change everything? That's every moment of your life. It's how you handle those things, the small things. Kristen actually is watching inside, and she says, as small as saying yes to meeting up with people.
Sure.
Those are those things, is that you never know. I mean, I'll say this, something small like that, right? So right now in my life, to be on a more positive note, you're positive, Sean. I'm saying on a positive, not as severe.
Sure.
But the way I met Kristen, I've shared it before,
Sure.
is that I literally was like, I had gone through healing from a previous relationship, and I was like, you know what? It's Sunday. I want to go. It sounds stupid to you guys out there, maybe, but I want to go watch the Bears. We'll have to go to a bar to watch the Bears here because they're not on local TV where we are. So I'm going to go up to a bar I've been to local here, and I'm going to invite some friends. Luckily, I had a couple friends that said they were going to meet me up there. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, a couple of Kristen's friends who I'm friends with now They came in the bar and they sat down next to me just because they were watching the Browns game. I mean, it was just like happen chance, right? Or whatever you call it. But I made the choice to not sit at home, not do like just do me here. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go to work and live my life. And, you know, I'm going to die someday, but I'm going to make the best of it.
Small decision, big impact. That's
the point. So does a single moment truly hold the power to change everything? It does. But then it's on top of that. I met Kristen that day. We, both of us, especially her, were not in a situation that it's like, oh, we should go on a date tomorrow. It was just life had brought us together. And then the moments after that, to this point, single moment, we handled to a point that has brought us to this point today. And that day, I would have never thought that, even after that day, I would have never thought that we would be in the situation we're in today.
Sure.
But we handled every moment the way that we did. I know it sounds too simple, but it's like we handled the moments the way we wanted to, because I think that every moment holds that power, because you can fuck things up real quick too.
Sure.
You think things are going well. You think you're going.
Damn, Ray.
He's getting brutal on this.
He said, I bet Kristen wishes she stayed home that day. Fuck off, Ray.
Are you talking about the 10 event when she met you, or?
Nice.
I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, that was nice.
You know, Ray, we address you, and then you take a nice moment.
Yeah.
Well, that's
a moment. Say something like that.
Does a single moment truly hold the power to change everything? You fucking change the momentum of the conversation right now. I tell you that right now. And if yes, how? I just gave you the answer.
Oh,
Jesus. He says, "Oh, hit a nerve." Not.
Hey, but Kristen said that she's glad she did not stay at home.
When I met her, not when she met Ray, right? I mean,
yes.
Are we gonna
she
clarify here?
Yeah.
You assume, right? I assume.
Well, she was responding to Ray.
Oh.
So, yeah. She's glad she did not stay at home.
Oh, Charlie.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, Charlie.
That was fucked up.
2 days ago. Yesterday morning.
Yeah. Not to get too serious, or cheers to
all the people,
everyone involved in that in Baltimore.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen, so early Tuesday morning, a cargo ship actually lost power, tried to regain power, lost power, and ended up crashing into the support structure of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. And while workers were doing work on it, and
some people driving over it.
Yeah, the whole fucking bridge collapsed.
I just saw the footage today. That was insane.
Yeah. The bridge collapsed. There were some workers that went into the water. Some cars went into the water, and
people are still missing, aren't they?
Yeah. They, after like 24 hours,
they found a couple people in a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Today.
But they called off
feet underneath the water.
They called off the search. It's now just a recovery at this point. But I mean, there's tens of thousands of vehicles that go over that bridge every single day. But then also that port that ship was going, that's like the 9th busiest port in the country. So it's going to have a huge impact on goods coming into the country, on workers at that port. Like, you work the docks at a port, and now ships can't get to the port. And there were 10 ships at the time that were coming in. Like, now they have to go to other ports.
Look, I don't want to get into, there's a lot of that stuff like that. I heard on the news tonight, watching it, and that ship passed everything. You're in the airline business, Sean. It's but it had, I guess, some sort of engine work before it left the port.
That ship has had a bunch of issues. Like it's crashed into.
You can look at it from all different angles. Like, yeah, should that ship been in service? That bridge. I'm not an engineer, but the fact that like those supports, like if a ship runs into it, what's going to happen from an engineering standpoint? Like what's the support? Man. It did look like that, and it was a absolute tragic incident, and our hearts go out to everyone involved. You know, they're putting out the names now, you know, the construction workers, you know, father of 3. There was another one that was, you know, a family man as well. The thing that bothered me the most beyond just the incident itself was the world that we live in right now, the country we live in right now. So that happened, and I saw it on social media, on news sites, when I woke up on Tuesday. Kristen came home from a workout, and I was like, "Did you hear about Baltimore?" She said, "No, what are you talking about?" And I turned on the local news at 8:30. Granted, it wasn't first thing. I assume they talked about it first thing in the morning. 8:30 to 9 p.m., not a mention besides a ticker on the bottom. Then I get to the shop on Tuesday, and we weren't talking about it. And I brought it up, and Josh and a couple of the customers were like, "Yeah, I did hear about that." You know, like, "Yeah, that's crazy." Like, no one was really talking about it. And then we clicked on a couple of news stations, and I'm not going to say which news station wasn't talking about it, which one was talking about it. One was talking about, and everyone, you know, they have, I understand you can't 24/7 on some tragedy like that, but I felt like there was no political agenda. There was no race agenda.
Spammer.
That's fine. Just let it go. Fuck it. But there was no race agenda. There was no nothing. So it wasn't constant news after it happened. 2 days later, or a day later, now it's national news. Now it's on all, like, every half-hour news station. It's on the national news. And you're like, because there was nothing behind it, there was no angle that you could spin on some sort of black versus white or terrorist or whatever. There's nothing that you can spin on this, so your brain stopped fucking working. That pissed me off.
Yeah,
because there was some major tragedy in the world, let alone this country, and it was just a ticker at the bottom. Go fuck yourselves. That was bullshit. That was absolute bullshit. When that was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're releasing the fact that there was a Mayday call, and the local authorities did block traffic, even though it was at 1:30 a.m. They did block the cars going over there. Now they're talking about construction crews. I know that you didn't know all that stuff, but I know for a fact that by the time I woke up, it happened at 1:30 in the morning, and by the time I woke up Eastern time and was watching the news and got to the shop by noon that day, almost 12 hours later, they all had that information.
Oh, yeah.
And no one's fucking talking about it because, like, how can I spin this story that there's something there that people are going to be, like, behind or whatever? It's like, just fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, be Walter Cronkite for a fucking second and just tell people about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I felt they talked about it, like, initially with that ticker, is like a local crash, which a local news station would spend more time on a local crash that something happened locally. But, like, this was a big thing.
I'm surprised because usually anything like that, it would be on. Like in the past, I've seen things like that, and they're on the minute it happens, and then it's weird it was delayed like that.
Yeah. Well, I remember, when, so less than a year after I graduated college, the baseball team from my alma mater was involved in a bus crash in Atlanta that killed 6 people. And I had heard about it because a friend of mine was in the army stationed at Ramstein in Germany, called me that afternoon and was like, "Hey, I just heard about what happened to your school." I was like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, there was a bus crash. Like it's on the news." I'm like, "Really?" So I went and like I was searching through different news channels trying to find something until I finally found it on one of the news channels. Like, but I had to hear about it from a friend stationed halfway around the world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy situation. And the other thing that drives me nuts is something like that happened Tuesday morning, and immediately people on both sides started politicizing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
they started throwing a terrorist attack right off the bat.
Yeah. Now, like Sean brought up the point, like within 6 hours, the FBI is like, "Oh no, this wasn't intentional." But it's like you have people sitting there saying it was intentional, people saying it wasn't, but still, like both sides are sitting there trying to use a tragedy for their own benefit.
Sure.
Both, and like I said, both sides, and I hate it on both sides.
Yeah, they just can't report the news. They gotta spin it.
Yeah.
Ray Chester says that it was breaking news within minutes of occurring on BBC and Sky News.
And you know, like Steve brought up,
maybe, like I said,
Steve brought up, he brought up Walter Cronkite. Like that's what I think what's been missing in like the last 20 years in news is someone like Walter Cronkite who literally just, "Hey, here's my nightly news show. Here's what happened. Yeah. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm not going to sit there and say what I think about what's going on. I'm just going to sit there and tell you this is what happened."
I feel like we've minimized Walter Cronkite to a ticker.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie, for at least.
It's I mean,
that's one of the reasons why we love doing this live. Like, yeah, we have people that commented earlier in the day on the topic, but then, you know, someone like Charlie who, you know, throws that in there in the live comments. Like, great. Thank you for the participation.
No, it is. I mean, if you want to hear what we have to say about those things, and not everyone does, but
yeah, none of us are bridge experts. None of us are cargo ship pilot experts, but like it sucks.
It's a tragedy, man.
It's a tragedy.
It's absolute tragedy.
And
I'm looking at the comments here from before. I mean, that's a tough one to go beyond that, but we're looking at some of the comments right now. Sorry for the audio listeners here. I can't find the audio, the spammer. Did you ban him?
I haven't seen him. I told him to go away and he went away.
Oh, nice.
Hey, if you're not going to contribute to the conversation, the fuck out of here.
There's a couple other ones on here. Marissa Mead, who's Mike Dieter, who's on next week.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Travel experiences, places you've been to, and places you would like to visit. We're going on vacation. You're going on vacation. We've talked about that. I mean, we definitely talk.
We're both going to places that we've been to before.
Yeah, but still.
But still, there's some. I mean, there's a reason why I think we go back to some of those places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Next month, Jess and I are going to Lexington for the Land Rover Horse Show. We haven't been to that since before COVID, actually. But like that was something that we used to do every single year, and we had a great time. We had great memories. We always have a good time going to some of the local restaurants there in near downtown Lexington, especially on Jefferson Street. Like there are certain places that we go back to every single year. We go down there. And you know, people have heard me talk, people that know me know, you know, Jess is way more into the horse stuff than I am. But like, even for me, it's
she's
still
a horse love. Like, she's an enthusiast. You're appreciating.
So
you're not against it, right?
No, I'm not against it.
Like the hobby, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing we were talking about earlier, right?
So like, Jess grew up. Her dad used to breed quarter horses. Jess used to show quarter horses at the All-American Quarter Horse Congress, which is headquartered here in Columbus, Ohio. And every year in October, the horse show is here in Columbus, and it's the largest single breed horse show in the world. It's also the biggest moneymaker for the state of Ohio during the 3 weeks that it's here.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a big thing for her, but going to that show, like, it was still something I enjoyed. Watching the events take place, but then also the atmosphere. And then, because it's a different city than what we live in, there's different experiences around town, different things to do, different places to go. And I mean, shockingly enough, I went to a local cigar shop down there the first year.
No, you?
Of course. Yeah, me. I went to a local cigar shop down there and, bought some stuff, talked to the owner. The next year, I go back down. Dude remembers me. And like, that's one of the reasons that anytime Jess and I go on vacation to a different city, we always try and find a cigar shop. Like when we went to Nashville, yes.
Okay.
And there's a reason I say we. There is a reason I say we.
I'm sure there is.
So like when we went to Nashville, we went to Casa de Monte Cristo, which now one of the guys that used to work at Casa de Monte Cristo at that time now works for Crown Heads.
Yeah.
But the reason is, like, if something happens to where Jess and I get separated, we have a meetup place. We have a safe place to go. If her and I get separated, she knows to go to the cigar shop.
Not the hotel.
Well, it was an Airbnb.
Okay.
But she knows that she's not going to be alone.
Oh, that's fair. I gotcha.
And that if she sits there and goes, yeah, I got separated. If she goes in there and goes, yeah, my husband and I came here yesterday. We got separated today. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what's happened, or something happened. Like, and so like, this is our meetup spot. We both know that she's going to be looked at and looked after there. Like, they're going to take care of her.
All right. Yeah.
So that's one of the, and again, that speaks to the community, I think, of some of your local cigar shops.
No, absolutely. We're talking about travel experiences, places you have been to, and places you would like to visit. From Marissa. Yeah, going back to Punta Cana area.
Mm-hmm.
Chris and I are in just less than a month. It's just about the travel experience. We've talked about this before. It's enjoying some time off from everything, whether it be by yourself, with people that you enjoy spending time with, but just absolutely just, it doesn't have to be far. That's what we talked about, I think, the last time, Nate, is that it doesn't have to be around the world necessarily. It's just get out of your comfort zone just for a second. Even if it is, like you're talking about cigar shops, it's a similar comfort zone, but somewhere else. It's new people, it's new experiences. And even if you have a place, growing up, we went back to the same place all the time. My brother's family, he's 2 years older, my niece and nephew, they love going to the place that my brother and I went to. And it's tough to talk them out of getting into new experiences or traveling elsewhere. But the fact is, they get out of their everyday life just to go somewhere. Right. Places you've been and places you'd like to visit. I mean, it's just, even if it's places you've been to and you want to go back, I think it's great to just get out of your everyday life, because we have this conversation in the shop a lot that it's like, you want to save for retirement, and you want to save for retirement. You want the grindstone. You want to do all this stuff. You want some of this? Or do you want to pick something else if you don't like that? But it's just,
that bottle has a special place in your heart.
I've got a half open bottle inside too. That just was the closest one. It's everyday drinker. Anyways, my point is, while you pick out what you want to drink out of the garage bar from podcasts of the past, I think it's something that you want to experience something. Like, if all you're doing is planning for the future without enjoying the present, that's the same thing as the hobbies in moderation or to the extreme, or it's if you're just doing the day-to-day life so that someday you might get to a place where you can enjoy yourself, well, you're already on a slippery slope. And I think you're losing that battle because we all know those stories of the people that they saved, they worked their ass off, they did everything for everyone else, and then they retired, and within a year or two they died. Like, I'm not saying what's the point. I mean, hopefully there is a point of the fact that they save money that someone's going to benefit from that, but at the very least, enjoy your life, man. Find an absolute middle ground to the point. Ann says, I have a theory. The fun is in the planning. As long as it's not too far out, I agree with that.
Yeah. When it comes to traveling, I kind of like Jess wants to go to different places and do different things. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I'd love to go to other places, but do things that I like. So like years ago when we were talking about possibly doing a trip, she was talking about going out to Wyoming, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go to Wyoming. How about Florida? And then I'll go to cigar shops, and because there's one cigar shop where she wanted to go to in Wyoming. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go to that place.
It's a far way to go to a cigar shop.
But like I was like, she's sitting there going, wanting to go to a place in Wyoming. I'm like, well, what are we gonna do there? Oh, we can go hiking. Really? Neither one of us are hikers. Like sure, going someplace and seeing the beauty of nature is awesome, but it's like, okay, after you do that the second day, what else you gonna do? Like it's hard to plan a week-long trip around like, hey, let's go to the mountains. Like, you don't like sleeping in a tent. We're going to go to the mountains. Like,
some beautiful Airbnbs everywhere.
There are. I think, Jess is definitely more traveled than I am. I've been out of the U.S. once, and that was for a work trip. When Jess was a kid, her family went to Scotland because that's where her family, going back generations is from. Like they even every year at the family reunion, they trace it back, to where their ancestors came from in Scotland. I'd like to go to Ireland. My dad went there a decade ago. I would like to go there because that's
you've been, right, Sean?
Because that's where our family immigrated from is Ireland.
Flights.
Yeah, flights not so. Yeah, going across an ocean. Yeah, not necessarily the cheapest thing, but
what'd you call me?
But that would be one of those travel experiences that's definitely outside of my comfort zone.
Sorry, Sean and I are having.
I know you guys.
I wish he was on the table right now.
You guys are in my peripheral, but Sean's not in mine.
And follow up here, my grandpa had it broken down by percentages. 70% of the fun is in the planning, 20% is in the doing, and 10% is in the reminiscing.
Me personally, I'd hope the percentages were a little different.
I agree.
Like I would like it if maybe I'd say 60% was in the doing, 30% the reminiscing, or maybe even make those two a little bit closer, and then 10% just in the planning. Like I don't want to spend a whole lot of time getting bogged down in the planning of the trip. I'd rather enjoy the trip more than the planning.
So I'm going on a golf.
That's me.
I'm going on a golf trip in a couple of weeks, and I've done this before. I haven't done it in a long time, but since we had Molly, I hadn't had a chance to. But this year I'm going, and it's what I've enjoyed about it. When I'm looking for the most is, the golf's going to be fun, but it's about spending time with your friends, the camaraderie you build. Even the drive down is fun, and I think that's, for me, that's what it's all about. Is just and the memories. I've got so many good memories from it, though. But I agree with Ann.
You agree that 70% of the fun is in the planning?
No, well, not that part.
So you agree with it?
I didn't hear that part. I
70%. I wish we had a whiteboard.
Well, so she's saying like part of the planning is the anticipation.
Well, sure, the anticipation, but not.
But she's also saying that the vast majority is in the planning. I think it's the
Depends on where you're going.
anticipation. I get where she's saying with that. I will say that you know, Kristen and I, is that it's one of those things. You once you planned the trip, it's coming. Like our Dominican Republic trip's coming up. She's already planning the next trips, and I appreciate that. But like I want to go on the trip. So like I'm more like I think, and maybe Kristen as well. It's like 60% of the fun is in the planning, and like 50% of the fun is in the doing, and then there's like 30% in the reminiscing. I mean, the equation doesn't add up to 100%. I think it's just there's a lot of fun in all of it, and I think that distributing that fun is tough to do. And I think the trip or the travel, the reminiscing part, sometimes I think that will absolutely, if it's like a once in a lifetime trip, that percentage gets skewed real quick.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a once in a lifetime thing, yeah, that can definitely
and it could
sway the scales.
It's not just where you are; it's who you're with, what you did. It's everything that's involved in it that will make that big. But I mean, I think the one thing I'll give her percentages is 70% of the time is in the planning, because it is fun looking at where you could go. And I mean, shit. I mean, like Kristen and I are watching YouTube videos on the resort that we already booked.
Yeah.
Like we do that on our weekends, like just because we're excited. So it's like, oh, there's a new YouTube video of someone that went to the resort. Let's watch what they did. Like you're already there. It's a month away. It's 2 months away. It was 3 months away. Like we did this, and we're just like, oh yeah, let's watch a tour of the resort that someone went on this thing, just to kind of get you to your vacation ahead of time.
Well, I know, like with the trip that Jess and I have coming up at the end of next month, like we've gone to this event before, but this year we're doing a different type of experience with that trip than what we've done in the past. Like we're still going to the horse show, but instead of being in the grandstands, we're going to be in the hospitality tents. So like that's something that I'm looking forward to, because when she brought up like, hey, you know, looking at going back to Lexington next year, because she was talking about it last year, you know, looking at going back next year, what do you think about doing the hospitality tents? And I'm like, okay, well, I know right off the bat that's going to be more money. I'm looking at it from a financial side. And she's like, well, like they have food that's included in the hospitality tents, and then
love and all inclusive,
and then they also serve drinks. I'm like,
love and all inclusive. And
I was like, are the drinks included?
Please say
as
yes.
part of this? And she goes, yes. And I went, do it. Let's go. You're driving.
I feel like you're going on our next all-inclusive next year.
Yeah, we're going to an all-inclusive in Lexington. but
baby steps.
Jess isn't a big fan of the beach.
Pools?
No, she likes to wear jeans all the time.
Jorts.
She's not a big fan of other people seeing her legs.
All right. Well, you'll never see him again. So. All right.
But no, I mean it's a trip that, you know, we used to do that trip every year. But now this year going back, it's been 5 or 6 years since we've gone. So now it's something that we're looking forward to because we haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
And we're making a slightly different experience out of it. I think the place that she booked for us to stay is actually the same place that we stayed in the very first year that we went down there, which we hadn't stayed in the year since then. So it's, you know, kind of a throwback to that. But then it's also like the different places we used to go to for breakfast or for dinner. Like those were some of the most exciting things that we looked forward to for that trip. Like going to Stella's Kentucky Deli for breakfast, or going to the Blue Heron for dinner.
And how many times have you been there?
I think we went there 3 years in a row.
Okay. Sometimes you want to reminisce and do it again. It'll never be the same, but it'll be hopefully,
honestly,
good.
Like when we went there the first year, so the place we stayed at the very first year was real close to this restaurant called the Blue Heron. So we got to our Airbnb and it was right next door. And so we tried to go to the Blue Heron, but the kitchen had closed like 10 minutes earlier. Well, we had just driven from Columbus, stopped in Cincinnati for a cigar event because Miguel was there. So by the time we got down there, like we're exhausted, we're hungry. And the hostess was like, well, if you go a couple miles down this road, there is a 24/7 burger joint that a lot of the college kids love to go to. And I'm like, burger joint sounds great right about now, especially if college kids love it. Like this place sounds great. It was just a diner that did like burgers and fries.
Like that, like a greasy spoon.
Exactly.
I do like a greasy spoon. Yeah.
So, so after all the travel, like that was a great place to go. And we were so thankful that the hostess recommended something like that hit the spot, what we were looking for. So then a couple nights later, we went to the Blue Heron and had an absolutely amazing time. And that's one of the things that Jess looks forward to with that trip every year. It's not just the horseshoe or horse show. It's going to that restaurant.
Horseshoes at the horse show.
Yeah. So like she looks forward to that. I look forward to the diner because the breakfast that they have there is absolutely fantastic. The chorizo sausage and gravy biscuits. It's absolutely
love some chorizo.
Like biscuits and gravy, one of my favorite breakfast meals of all time. This one's made with chorizo sausage. Love it.
Has Bob Evans beat every time.
Yes, it does. And it's this little hole in the wall, yellow painted house on Jefferson Street. Like, I love it.
Love it.
But yeah, we've had such great times going down there that like that's one of the things we look forward to. The anticipation of going back to some of those places we've gone to before because we had such a great experience.
Yeah, I like the vacations where you go back or you do something again. But I also like trying something new. But again, the fear of the unknown or not sure what the vacation is going to be. You don't know if you're going to have those types of memories, and it's always tough. I will combat that with when you go back, you have such great memories of a place or of a vacation or whatever it is, and you go back and it's not quite the same because it's not the first time, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh yeah, remember that place we went to? And then it doesn't ruin it, but you're like,
if the place you're going back to has gone downhill, then
or it just wasn't the new experience.
I don't know, because there's something I get what you're saying. There's something to be said for the new experience. But like some of those places we went to, we had a great first experience that it made us look forward to the next time.
No, I'm not taking that away.
And so because we went back there again, like we still had an equally great experience. If we'd have gone back the next year to the same restaurant and the food quality had gone down or the service had gone,
that's easy.
like
right.
That, yeah, that's gonna turn you off from ever wanting to go back there again. Yeah. But if the initial experience of a trip, like you guys talking about going to the all-inclusives, like if your first experience at a particular resort had been bad, you may the next year you're sitting there going, all right, we're not going to go back to this. Maybe we're not even going back to Cancun. Maybe
sure.
Maybe we're going to the DR this time, or maybe we're going someplace else. Not like it doesn't just turn you off from that specific location.
I get it.
It turns you off from the whole area.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can do a similar experience elsewhere. The last one I want to get into as we sign off for part 2, because we can go on for a long time with this, is if you didn't know your age, what age would you guess you are? From Sean Anderson out there. Jonathan Aaron already chimed in, 36, I'm 38. So if he thinks he's younger than he is, that's debatable. Knowing Jonathan Aaron. Sean, you have an answer to that? If you didn't know your age, and please disclose your age if you are so inclined, what age would you guess you are?
Well, I am 53. And
ooh. Just kidding.
That's what happens.
You look great
at my age, where I get up and I'm like, oh. I've been told that maybe like mid to low 40s, but Sure. I mean, I don't.
What was the scenario in this mid-40s comment?
That's somebody I like met.
You got a full head of hair, so I mean that's in your favor. I can't speak.
Yeah, I think I met and we were talking about. We asked our ages, and I said I was, and they're like, "Wow, I didn't think you were that old." So
yeah,
but I feel it sometimes.
In the morning,
Yeah.
in the morning at night,
Yeah,
sometimes in the afternoon.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you feel older than 53, or are you like that's like your ceiling right now?
I'm ceiling. I'm still pretty active and can still do things, and I can still like
touch your toes after stretching. I'm not saying you take away stretching.
Yeah, sometimes I get motivated for it.
If I fall over,
the hard part's coming up and then trying to get dizzy.
Nate, how about you? If you didn't know your age, and what is your age, what age would you guess you are?
If I shaved my beard,
okay,
I would go a decade lower.
Yes.
Like I'm 40. If I shaved my beard, what are you talking about?
I was like, you don't have a beard.
I sit there and say that. Sean's like, yeah, same. Like
you're off camera.
You don't have a beard. You don't have any facial hair. Right. You got 5 o'clock shadow. I used when I was, I think the first time I grew out my beard. Oh, I was in my early 30s, I think, and I grew it down to about. I grew it down to about here.
Early 30s. You did that during the pandemic.
That was the second time.
Oof. Those are some rough podcasts. It's coming to you live from Nate Hale's bunker.
Oh no, I've read and heard some of those comments. I know at one point you had Kristen look back to some of the earlier episodes.
I didn't have her. She did look back.
So because I had what I have now. I had this when the pandemic started. And our company said, hey, we're going to work from home for the next 2 weeks. And I was like, I'm not going to trim my beard until I go back into the office.
It was a bold move.
Yes, it was. And for the most part, I stuck with that. I still had that more than a year later when you and I went to Louisville together.
You sure did.
You
sure did.
I didn't trim it until June of 21 because I was going to a wedding for one of Jess's coworkers.
Yeah. And
I didn't want to show up to the wedding with a beard that was down to my chest. For those that are listening on the audio and can't see, my beard was down to here. And because of the way I have the gray on my chin, I called it the white stripes. Because you had these 2 white stripes going down on the beard and this black patch of hair down the middle. So I call it the white stripes.
Yeah, like a handlebar mustache all the way down your face.
It was I literally. So the first time I grew it out, I grew the whole thing out. And then when I grew it out for the pandemic, it ended up being just the chin portion. I kept trimming the sides and then just kept growing the chin out. It looked terrible.
It was a look.
It
wouldn't say it was for everyone.
No, it wasn't great. I'll admit that.
It was good, then it wasn't, and then it wasn't again. You look great,
but no, I'm 40. If I shaved my beard,
40.
If I shaved my beard, I would look in my mind, I would look and feel 30.
Okay. Feel 30.
Because there's really not a lot of difference between what I feel now versus what I felt when I was 30. I still make the same snap, crackle, pop now as I did then.
Yeah.
Because of the sports I played, because of the positions I played in some of those sports, my knees and ankles still pop then as they do now. There's really no difference. I know Kristen texted you something. I'm like, what?
No, it wasn't about you.
Because I know she made comments about the beard I had, and they were not nice.
No. it was honest. Bring it back. If you didn't know your age, what age would you guess you are? Man, I've been on a roller coaster of that for sure over the years. I look back at my pictures when I was in my 20s and late 20s, and it was before I shaved my head. I was about the weight I am now, but not as good of a weight, if you will.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I look at pictures, and I was in an office job, and I was wearing, button-down shirts and all that stuff. And I felt, looking back then, I was like, man, I had comments when I went through my 30s, mid 30s, especially when I really had leaned out and just really was taking care of myself, that people were like, man, you look better now than you did. You look younger now. I'm getting more comments now with my Tasty Tuesday videos, with some of the stuff I post. It's like, man, that's a lot of gray in your beard. So that's my indicator there, and I appreciate.
So that was 8 years ago, when the first time I grew my beard out.
So I think, besides maybe a few more wrinkles and all that stuff, I think you look younger now. I think guys,
I was definitely heavier set.
I think guys, we are typically dealt a better hand with all that stuff. We age easier, if that makes sense. If you take care of yourself, guys age easier. Not comparing anyone on camera or anyone in this garage. No offense, Sean or Nate or myself, but we're not George Clooney. But you look at that there's that 40s, 50s where they just they hit their peak. You know what I mean? Even those guys, you look at them and like when they were younger as actors, and you're like, you look better now.
Yeah.
It's not easy getting older. It's are you holding on to your youth, or are you embracing where you're at? And I think it's, to your point, Sean, the time of the day, man. If you didn't know your age, what age would you guess you are? Depends on the day. It depends on the time of the day, man. Sometimes I feel older than I am. I'm 43, and a couple of years ago, I think I was doing stuff with the walks and everything. I felt younger, and I felt more spry. I'm old now when I say spry, right? I heard it when I said it, but man, there's some mornings when I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror, and it's just bags under my eyes, and yeah, the mornings don't help. And it's dude, I'm not running from it, but I'm trying to. I think the attitude is embracing it. What age would I guess I am now? 43, man. That's where I'm at. I'm trying to embrace it the best I can.
Well, it's like a few months ago. A few months ago, my 40th birthday was on a Sunday. I was working at the Tinder Box. My dad actually came into the shop that day, and he's like, "Hey, happy birthday! How do how's it feel to be 40?" And I'm like, "It's another day on the calendar."
40 is not tough. It's when you get into your 40s.
I'm like, well, yeah, you and I kind of talked about that a little bit last week.
We did.
But when I turned 40, I was like, I literally feel like it's just another day. And my dad's like, yeah, just wait till you turn 50. And I'm like, well, hold on. You had a little bit different experience than I did turning.
We all did, right?
Yeah. Because my dad called my sister the night before my sister turned 30. My sister's 6 years and 27 days older than me. And so my dad called her like, hey, I want to wish you, a happy birthday the last night of your 20s. And she's like, well, I'll call you in 3 months, the last night of your 40s, which tomorrow is my dad's birthday. So happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday.
And my dad goes, it doesn't scare me that I'm turning 50. It scares me my daughter's turning 30.
It's all perspective, right?
And I went, well, how are you going to feel in 6 years when I turn 30? He's like, I wish you hadn't told me that. That was a decade ago.
So the fact that you hit 40, that's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, age is only a number, is true to a point.
Yes.
Sean Anderson followed up and said that I had a very unimaginative answer. And It is based on life circumstances, and let's round this out, right? I think it's based on life circumstances. Is that, and Nate, you and I talked about this last week after the podcast. It's like, it's where you're at in life with your job. That's one thing, but it's. I had another reset at 40.
Mm-hmm.
I had a reset in my divorce when I was younger. I had another reset in my relationship. I'm in a great relationship. I enjoy my job. I have a roof over my head and no kids. So it's there's no right way to go through life, but it's like my age, to Sean's point, is, there's some days I do feel much younger. You talk about what Ray was talking about, like the gym bunnies, whatever. But like when I work out or when I wake up, there's some mornings that all of a sudden I'm like rejuvenated. I go into the gym, I feel great. I'm positive attitude. I feel like all of a sudden I'm stronger that day. Then there's the other days where I'm in the gym and I'm like, why is this so heavy? Why does my shoulder hurt? I'm walking on a treadmill. My hip starts tightening up. That didn't happen when I did the same shit in college, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
you're not in high school anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I'm not running a 4.640.
I never probably will. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, I'm just saying it's one of those. It's you take the whole with the days that come with that whole, right? I mean, it's the age you are. I think age is just a number. But as we get older, you really have to be aware and attentive of, you don't have to try to fight your age. You don't have to look younger. You don't have to, it's how you feel. And we talked about this. I'm not going to go down that route right now, but the one thing is that you take care of yourself. I'm a big proponent on the health side of it, and not necessarily obviously staying up, not getting enough sleep, drinking too much, and eating. I try to eat fairly well. I try to make sure that I'm going to a doctor on a regular basis. I'm checking my hormone levels. I'm checking my blood levels on everything. I'm trying to do the things that I know that my dad's generation, my parents' generation didn't do, so that I could get that diagnosis of something severe that I have no control over other than to deal with it. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to do my best on staying healthy and feeling the best that I can for the age that I am. So it's not that age is just a number. It's just, I look at my age at 43 and I see some celebrities you see, or, like people of public image, they died at this age. And you're like, all right, so if I'm 43, they died at 70. So my dad died at 72. It's like, all right, so I don't think I'm on the same path. And hopefully that if all goes well, but if it, like, that's 30 years, right? Someone else dies at 80 something. I'm like, okay, that's 40 something. That seems so close. Then you think about it, like, I'm 43. You reflect on the last 43 years, 20 years ago, that's a lifetime ago, right? Yeah. So it's embracing the age you are and doing the best you can, not necessarily to battle aging, but to embrace where you're at right now, and absolutely do what you can to feel as, you want to say, like, I want to feel as young as I can. I want to feel as good as I can. How do you feel? I had doctors that were like, just looking at the numbers of blood levels and all that stuff. And the doctor I see now every 6 months, the thing I like about him the most is, how do you feel, is the question that he says, that he asks, how do you feel? Then we address the numbers. You feel good? Great. We do need to look at this. We need to look at this. And then my goal is, hopefully, and it is funny, as I get older, is that there's a lot more of like, you feel good? Great. We need to look at this. A few years ago, it was like, there weren't we need to look at this. We need to look at this. Right? So there are things you need to keep in the checks and balances. But I think that to that point is that if I didn't know my age, I would have no clue how old I am, because I feel good. Then you look in the mirror and I see the gray in the beard, or I take a video on Tasty Tuesday and all that stuff where you're talking about with your beard and all that stuff, is you see the bags under your eyes, you see all that stuff. And you're I think most importantly, Nate, is if you start using other people and their ages as your benchmark, you've already lost. I think you have to look at your pictures of the past. You need to look at how you feel and how you feel you look, and really you're your own ruler.
Well, and I think to go off of that part of my closing remarks, not just how you feel physically, but also how you feel mentally.
Yeah. Big time.
If I were to go back to say, 2012, so go back 12 years ago, like mentally, I felt miserable. I didn't like the job I was doing was okay, but like the organization I was working for, the people I was working for, the people I was working with, I've never considered myself to be one of those, oh darn, it's Monday, thank God it's Friday kind of people.
Right.
But there became a certain point where I became that kind of person, but it was more so because of the kind of people I was with. I wasn't necessarily not looking forward to going to work. I was not looking forward to spending time with certain coworkers. And
people you surround yourself with,
yeah,
right?
And then I go back 10 years. Okay, where was I 10 years ago? Like when Sean Anderson posted that question, and I had said, well, okay, I'm 40. I feel more like I'm 30. Okay, where was I 10 years ago? You go back 10 years from today. I had just been let go from a job. I was unemployed. I was job searching. I was submitting 5 to 10 job applications a day, and I was trying to find something. Like, I was scared out of my mind. I was in a really bad place for a long time, mentally. And now when I look at like where I am now, like I look forward most days to going into the work I have because I really enjoy what I'm doing. So I look forward to that, which I think is really helpful for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
To be able to look forward to something that you enjoy doing. Oh. You work at a cigar shop full time. You and I both hear it anytime that we're in the shop. Just about every week we get someone that comes in and goes, man, this must be the greatest job ever. And like, well, you still have to deal with people. And not everyone's as nice as you are. Not every customer's great.
I think you have your good days and your bad days.
Yes.
And it's about being sometimes, you have the greatest job in the world, but some days you're complacent. Some days the people you work with or interact with customer wise, they bring a negativity to it. And
you're always going to get,
you hit it on the head. Sorry. You hit it on the head that it's who you're surrounding yourself with. You could have the greatest situation. You have the greatest job, the greatest significant other, greatest kids, greatest everything. It's not always easy.
No.
And it's not to be too simplistic. The grass is always greener mentality. The grass is greener because the work you put in it. It's not just, it doesn't just grow that way.
Yeah. Sometimes, well, like I've said on the other side of that, is sometimes the grass is greener because it's fertilized with bullshit.
Well, and I get that, but I guess my point more is that it's strategy. It's hard work. It's everything else. Is that, yes, you have to fertilize it sometimes with bullshit. Sometimes you fake it till you make it to a point. But the big thing is the tried and true is that you put the work in, you take the bad seasons, the bad years, the bad moments, and you work at it. You come up with solutions, and you really embrace the bad to make it good again. Whatever it is, whatever the solution is, but you really you take it head on to the point that you want to make this better. I think the big mistake a lot of times is that when things, because you did all that, because you surrounded yourself with the people, because of the work they put in, when you coast, that's when the potholes hit. That's when the problems arise, is because you're coasting. I really do think that you have to continue to put that work in.
Yeah. And
because that grass will brown real quick.
Yeah. And, and I had said, like one of the reasons I feel better now than I did a decade ago was like, I enjoy the job I have. Obviously, right now, I enjoy the job I have more than 10 years ago when I was unemployed and just got fired from a job and, was worried about if we're going to be able to pay the rent. Being in a much better place now, like, I don't have to worry about those things. I can spend my time and effort and energy on other things, on other issues. I can spend my time, on the physical side. Someone made the comment about the emotional side or the emotional side, and it's like I'd rather have the emotional, the emotional stability, because I think the emotional stability has more effect on the other areas of your life. Like you can be physically in a great place and have a great job, but if you're emotionally a wreck, it can ruin all those other aspects.
Oh, yeah.
And
avalanche style.
Yeah. So I mean,
you're in a good place. That's good.
Like I've gone through a lot of shit. We all have. We've all gone through our own shit. I'm thankful that I'm in the place that I am now, mostly, versus like where I was, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, there are some problems that I still have now that I had 10 years ago, but I've made improvements in other areas, which makes now better than then.
You know how to handle the things as you grow forward, right? You move forward and grow forward, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate seeing that in you, Nate. And I think those that know you and those that have listened to this podcast for as long as you and I have been doing this, they see it and they hear it. And I can appreciate that. And we've all been through the ups and downs, and Nate's in my lives, and I think we're both in good places right now, it's great. It's good to see that growth. And a lot of the listeners that are loyal listeners that are still commenting, Ray, Jonathan, Sean, Charlie, like all these guys, I mean, and Ann, and it's like it's great to have that support through the comments, through the participation, and everyone that's doing this with us every week. Jess, Kristen, the support that we have is right now, I think it's unmatched, and I appreciate everyone out there and everyone in our lives that are really making this good situation right now. And Jonathan Aaron says hashtag Team Nate, and to that I'll cheers. Hashtag Team Nate. Hashtag Team Steve on my side, but doing pretty well over here too, Jonathan. Hope you guys have a great Whiskey Wednesday with us, and I appreciate everyone being a part of this. And we'll see you guys next week. We got Mike Dieter back on. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, so we'll put it out there if you guys want to. I enjoy these part twos more than anything, honestly, anymore at this point.
Yeah.
Much better than coming up with topics and then just having that. But when we have guests, it's different. But when it's just the two of us on here, Sean in the audience, it's been great having you guys in the audience. Love this interaction, this conversation, and it
means a lot.
It does mean a lot.
It also keeps us on our toes.
Thank you, Ray. Hashtag Team Steve. I think it's sarcastic, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Guys, see you next week. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the night.